Summary.
My name is Paulina Albright. At least, that was the name pinned to a blanket I was found, wrapped in. According to the Alpha of Orange River Pack, I was around 4 when I was found. I was allowed to live at the pack, in a group home. It wasn't the best upbringing. I refused to let my mind go back there. I escaped from that hell months ago. I have to constantly look over my shoulder, but now that Macy has joined me, I feel safer. My wolf is a beauty of a beast. She's not the usual gray of all the wolves in Orange River. She's silver, with a bluish tint, which match her ice blue eyes. She's all alpha attitude and knows more about me than I know myself. I had just turned 16 when I ran away. We are the Demeter twins. We are hybrids, fairy hellhounds. We are unique. Inasmuch as we are not only the first hybrid hellhounds, we are the first hellhound to be born. All others are created on their first shift. My name is Perseus. My brother is Roman. We have known since birth that we will share a mate. Being identical means we are compatible in all things. The moon goddess always only allows one mate for identical males. It's a competition thing.
Prologue.
My name is Paulina Albright. I grew up in an orphanage in the pack of Orange River, where I was little more than a slave. Life in the pack was never easy, and when the Alpha told me I was being sold to the highest bidder on my 16th found-on day, I ran. That was nearly 2 years ago. I ran. Well, Macy, my wolf, ran for 4 straight days. Now I live as far away from Orange River as I could get. I found a job in a diner. Here in Montana, a small town called Wolf Haven. Ironically, saying I found a job is highly inaccurate. A job found me. The owner of Sadie's, Sadie O'Connell, found me rummaging her dumpster, looking for anything that may be edible. I was too afraid to hunt because of the pack close by. Sadie made me come inside and have a meal. She asked me all kinds of questions, and in telling her my story, I felt liberated. Heard. She took me in, gave me a job and a home, something I never had before. Sadie lost her mate 10 years ago. She raised her 2 children and opened the diner. Now her children live in different states, and she is alone as I am. We became a family. Macy is my best friend. Even though we argue a lot, we are always there for each other. But she's keeping secrets. We shifted at the age of 12. I assumed it was my birthday, so I changed it to that day, because the one Alpha Barnett gave me was the day I was found in the forest. I was 4. My last name is one that was given me by the Alpha. The only reason he knew my first name was it was embroidered on the blanket I was wrapped in. I still have the blanket. It was an expensive item, a mink-lined cashmere blanket with the name Paulina engraved in pink silk thread on the corner. Macy searched my memories when we shifted. She knows things about my past, but will only say she will tell me when we meet our mates. Mates? As in more than one? Yeah, not sure how I feel about that. But the moon goddess knows best, and who am I to question a goddess? I worked hard to graduate early. Top of my class, too. That was the main reason the Alpha realized he could sell me to someone, and in his words, recoup some of the money wasted raising me. That was not about to happen. I refused to allow it. I escaped in the night, 3 days before my auction. I crept to the border and waited for the changing of the guard. I knew I had 5 minutes to clear the border and run. Once away from the pack, we ran full out. The first 2 days, I could feel my mind link being poked at. I was far enough away, I could maintain the block. But when I felt the Alpha's anger, I immediately denounced the pack and felt the bond snap. That took me 2 hours to recover from. Ouch. We ran for 2 more days and nights. When I spotted the lights of Wolf Haven, I shifted, taking clean clothes from my backpack. I dressed, I brushed my hair and pulled it into a high ponytail and walked right down the middle of town. I was rummaging for food and Sadie found me. The rest is history. I am grateful for the love of this woman I call Mama Sadie. She is everything I could have ever asked for in a mother.
Chapter 1. I Feel Your Pain. Perseus Demeter POV.
Roman? Goddess damn it. Where is he, Brandon? He has his link blocked. He's not responding to texts. I have walked through this entire pack house searching and yelling. I ask our beta. He just looks at me, shrugging. Have you checked with the girl? I spun around on him. Girl? What girl? We agreed to stop all that shit when we turned 18. To wait for our mate. Is he going back on his word? Again, he shrugs. He is equally loyal to both Roman and myself, so I don't push it. Brandon is my father's beta's son and our best friend. He's 4 months younger than we are, so we grew up inseparable. All through school, we were known as the trilogy. Girls wanted to be with us. Guys wanted to be us. Our parents kept us grounded, though, especially my mom. The three of us chased tail all through high school. Rome and I have always known we would share a mate, so it wasn't uncommon to share a cheerleader or two. But we agreed when we turned 18, it would all stop. Roman sauntered into the office an hour later. I watched him as he walked past my desk and sat at his. I just stared at him, not saying anything. He stuttered out, "Sorry, bro. I was sleeping." Lies. Okay? That's how we're going to start our day. I snarled, "Really? Where?" His head snapped up and immediately answered his room. Shaking my head, I said, "Bullshit, Roman. You reek of whore. I have been trying to find you since 6. It is now 9. 15 texts, 5 calls, countless links, and nothing. Who is she, Rome? Why are you doing this to our mate?" He growls, "Mate? Where is she?" Purrs. "Where's our mate, huh? We are going to be 22 in a week, and no sign of this fictitious mate. Besides, I am in love with Felicia. I may take her as my chosen. Then you can have our mate all to yourself. If she exists." I jumped to my feet. Felicia? Felicia McBride? The Kloss whore? Pack slut? You love her? Have you lost your fucking mind? How long? How long? Roman. He mutters, 6 months. I tell him, "You are a fucking idiot. Well, get ready. We have a FaceTime with Mom and Dad in 10 minutes. And you will tell them what you have decided. Not just you are affected by this. So thanks for planning my life, too." We didn't speak again. When the call came in, I flipped it to the TV so they could see us both. My mom immediately lights up. "Oh, my sweet boys. It pains my heart to see you both so grown. I have missed you so much. How are you? Anything new in your life? Anyone new? Your dad and I were talking just yesterday. We are so excited for you to meet your mate. The oracle we met said your mate is important, that the 3 of you are destined by fate to lead the hounds to greatness. Roman, what's wrong?" Our mother tends to run all her questions into one paragraph. Being a fairy, she's very, flighty. I inherited her ability to talk to animals, and I can control the weather. Roman controls earth and fire, although the look on his face right now looks as if he wants the earth to swallow him whole. Don't care. It's his hole. He dug it. When Roman didn't respond, Dad said, "Roman, your mother asked you a question." He still didn't respond. They both looked at me. I sighed and linked Roman Fuker. I said, "It seems Roman is over waiting for our mate. He says he has fallen in love with Felicia McBride and will reject our mate to be with her." That's as much as I got out of him. Dad's anger was palpable. Mom's was vociferous. "You what, young man? You Luvia whore? That girl has had every dick in the kingdom between her thighs. I will bet my left tit she's fucking more than just you. Brandon, go bring that bitch to the office. Now." Brandon ran to do as he was told, and Roman found his voice. "Mom, we are almost 22. If we had a mate, we would have found her by now. What difference does it make anyway? Perseus will mate her, and the legend would be fulfilled. Wouldn't it? I love her, Mom. Doesn't that count for something?" Dad asks, What happened to saving yourselves? To not have your mate exposed to women you may have slept with? What happened to honoring the moon goddess? You boys are fated to the same woman for a reason. To spit on the goddess's choice is to tempt fate. Roman stood. Yeah, well, you guys are lucky. You found each other. I want to be mated. I want to start a life. Felicia can give me that. Mom scoffs. Okay, Rome. We will hear what Felicia has to say. And if you really love each other, and decide you both want to be depriving your true mates of the other part of their soul, then adjustments will be made. Roman snaps his head back to the screen. What adjustments? I don't see why anything should change. How is that fair? Before they could answer, the door opened and Brandon pulled Felicia in the room. The whole time she's bitching about him, yanking her out of her own home. She spotted Rome and jumped at him, yelling, "Baby, did you tell them?" I said, "No, I did. Now, they want to talk to you. Sit down." My mom looks at her and says, "Felicia, tell me, what about my son do you love?" Felicia sat there silent. Then she smiles. "He's handsome. He has a great smile. He's an alpha. He's just the whole package. You know? A nice big package." My mother looks at her in disgust. Looking at Dad, she sneers. "Well, my Ammer, that explains everything." I choked back a laugh, while Roman linked me to shut up. Dad says, "If our son chooses you over his fated, what is it you expect is going to happen? And what of your fated?" Again, she sat and thought. Brandon links, she's not overly bright, is she? But wait, it gets better. I glanced at him sharply. He shakes his head imperceptibly. Felicia says, "I would choose Roman every day. He's everything a girl could want. I would be his Luna of Caus. And eventually, I guess I will be queen." Dad says, "No. The only truth in what you just said is he's everything a girl could want. Only a true mate will ever be Luna. And most definitely, you would never be queen." She screeched, "What? Roman?" Mom says, "Still choosing instead of waiting?" Roman snaps, "How is any of that fair? My mate, chosen or not, should be my Luna. I am Alpha." Well, that did it. No one talks to Mom like that. Not even Dad. "You dare speak to me in that tone? Who the fuck do you think you are? You are always allowed to voice your opinion. If it's done respectfully, try using that tone with me again, and I will take your voice for a week." He mutters and, "I'm sorry, Mom." Felicia says, "I was hoping to be Luna, but I guess I would still choose him anyway." Dad says, "Well, as long as you know there will be no Luna ceremony, much less a title, then Roman, you're a grown man and capable of your own decisions. Regardless of how wrong we know them to be, we cannot stop you." I started to jump up when Brandon put his hand on my shoulder and whispered, "Wait." Felicia asks, "No ceremony either? That isn't fair. Roman, you said I would be your Luna." Roman says, "You will be my Luna, just not Luna to the pack." A knock sounded on the door, and when I said, "Come in," Warrior James stepped into the room. I asked, "How may I help you, James?" He shuffled his feet back and forth and muttered, "I was beta commanded to come speak with you regarding earlier activities." Felicia stands and says, "You need to go, James, now." I snarled, "Sit down." She immediately sat, and I told James to proceed. He cleared his throat and said, "When Beta Brandon came to fetch Felicia, we were, we were in the middle of, well, a sex. He made us get dressed and get over here." I nodded, not laughing, and said, "You're dismissed, James. You've done nothing wrong, other than not waiting for your mate." He walked out of the room, and all eyes turned to Felicia. Roman says, "Why, Felicia? You said you loved me?" She wails, "It was a mistake. An accident. I'm sorry, Rome." It won't happen again, I promise. And my mom started laughing. Mistake? Accident. He made a mistake by accidentally tripping and his dick, what? Fell inside of you? My dad couldn't hold it in and Brandon sounded like Scooby-Doo laughing. I was biting the insides of my cheeks and Roman was beet red. Roman said, "Never speak to me again. If you see me in town, cross the street or walk the other way. I never want to see you again." She started to reach for him, and I sneered, "Leave." After she was gone, I told Roman I was sorry, and he growled, "No, you aren't." And I rapidly fired back, "You're right. I'm not sorry she proved to be the slut we all know her to be. I am sorry you're hurt by it. You are my twin. I feel your pain."
Chapter 2. What just happened? Paulina's POV.
I walk into the diner from the library and yelled, "Sadie, the library had 2 new books that you would love. I got them for you." No response. Sadie? Still nothing. I hurry to the back of the kitchen and start looking for her. I find her in the cooler on the floor, unconscious. I yanked her over my shoulder and ran for her car. I reached the pack border in record time, identifying who I was and what was happening. They let us through and the clinic staff was waiting. They took her straight back and left me standing there. I drove back and closed the diner. I hadn't even bothered to lock it when I left. My mind is numb, just going through the motions. I drove back to the clinic on autopilot. I went straight to the nurse's station, asked for Sadie, and the nurse said, "Oh yes, this way, she's asking for you." That was so good to hear. Sadie looks so frail. I take her hand and kiss it. I was so worried. I felt a tear roll down my cheek. She wiped it away and said, "Stop the crying. You know I love you. You're my child just as sure as my other 2 are. The nurses have called them. It's my time, Polly. My heart is tired. I need to be with my mate. I am leaving you the diner. It is yours. Free and clear. You are special, Paulina. You have power you haven't tapped into yet. Do not argue with me. The diner is yours." I cried. My heart was breaking. The only family I had ever had was dying. But I knew, even though I was sad for myself, I was happy for her. She has been alone long enough. Now she can be reunited with her mate. I sat until she dozed off. Then I sat just outside her door. Her children arrived and rushed into her room. I could hear the murmur of their voices. Sadie died at 11:59. 1 minute before midnight. I felt it. I felt my heart break as she took her last breath. I hit my knees and prayed to the goddess for safe passage. And as my tears streamed down my cheeks, the skies opened up and rain poured down. I closed the diner for a week. On the 3rd day was Sadie's funeral. The whole pack was there, paying respects. Sadie's mate was once a great warrior, and she was well respected. I met the king and queen. They were nice, expressed sympathy. Sadie's kids both hugged me and told me, "Thank you for making my mom's life happier the last couple years." I thanked them, but I needed out. I needed to go. I said my goodbyes and headed home. Too many people. I was feeling claustrophobic, and I know it's the grief causing it. I made it home and inside. The rain had eased off almost completely. Macy whispers, "Can we run?" I need to run. I slipped off my dress on my back porch and leaped. We shifted and ran for the river. I let her wander the rocks and duck under the waterfall to the small cave. She sat on her haunches and howled out her grief. I was silent. She needed her time too. Sadie was our only taste of a mother's love, and it was gone too soon. She laid down and huffed. She needs her time too. Her way of grieving is howl for an hour, sleep for 2. She will feel better when she wakes. Wolves are simple creatures. Emotions are black and white. She's intelligent, but still guided by instinct. Once she's awake, She stretches her muscles and yawns loudly. I giggle at her because she's so predictable. We leave the cave and head back home. She takes time to snap at a dragonfly, then a butterfly. She chased a rabbit into his hutch, then got frustrated when he wouldn't come back out. Once at home, I reheated last night's lasagna and poured a huge glass of wine. I flopped on the couch and flipped through channels until I found something funny to watch. The next morning, I decided to go get the diner ready for reopening, and I had to meet Sadie's attorney to sign paperwork. After shower and breakfast, I slipped on a pair of black jeans and boots, with a simple flannel over a camisole, hair in a high ponytail, and I'm good to go. At the diner, I put all white cloths on the tables. With red placemats, I sat and typed an ad for the Pack website, looking to hire 2 servers and a line cook. Then I checked stock, writing down everything I needed that was low or out. I had been so preoccupied at the diner, I was nearly late for my appointment. I was ushered straight to the back. A Mr. Peterson let me into his office and offered a seat. He pulled out a file folder from his drawer and rifled through the papers inside and looked up at me. He read, "I, Sadie O'Connell, being of sound mind and body, bequeath all my earthly goods to my adopted daughter, Paulina Albright O'Connell. The diner, which is paid for, with taxes and insurance covered for the next 10 years, my car, and my house, my checking and savings accounts, with money totaling $40,000 are yours. My children have been well compensated, so don't start shaking your head no. These things I leave you are my final act of love, my child. I will rest easy, not having to worry about you dumpster diving." I started laughing at that, and the lawyer looked up saying this is serious business. Stodgy old coot. He showed me where I had to sign and handed me the keys to Sadie's car and house. Then 4 bank cards and the deed to the diner. I walked out of his office in a state of shock. Sadie left me everything of hers in this town, just so I had a place to call my own. Sadie was the only person who made me feel like I was someone, and my confidence has grown so much. I walked over to the gym, where I work out every day. Mike is on the door, and he grinned, ready to attack the bag, or looking to spar. I grinned and told him, "You're learning to read me too well. Who's available for spar?" He shrugs. "Mark, Tony, and Bert, I believe. But Bert ain't going to spar with you again, tiny ninja. You broke his nose." I laughed and retorted, "He fish hooked me." "What? I should just let it slide, would you?" He's laughing as he shakes his head. That's what I thought. I walk in and yell, "Mark, I want to spar. Let me change and I will be out in 10 minutes. I hit the lockers and changed into spandex and a sports bra. I practically skipped to the ring. Macy grieves her way. I grieve mine. Mark steps into the ring, smiling, ready to bounce off yours a few times, shortstop. "Yeah, yuck it up, mountain man." I say, "Of course. It's why I come here. I love bouncing Mayas around the room." He laughed and lunged. I sidestepped, and he landed a kidney punch. I doubled over, but managed to kick him in the chest before I did. He staggered back, then tried to sweep my legs. I handsprung off his shoulders and landed, wrapping my legs around his upper arms and locking my ankles around his chest. As I pull his head back, I wrapped my forearm around his throat and held a chokehold until he tapped out. He grinned and hopped out of the ring with me. We grabbed a bottle of water and sat on a side bench. He says, "Damn girl, that's what I missed being gone 2 weeks. I come back and get my ass kicked. Wait, did you break Bert's nose? That was you." I nodded and replied, "He fucking fish hooked me. Gah." We sat talking quietly and were laughing about Bert and Tony sparring. Bert had on a catcher's mask. A man storms into the gym. A gorgeous man, dark hair, dark eyes, a good 6'5". My heart was racing. Macy was on point in my head. He spotted us and marched straight for us. Mark, what the fuck, dude? Perseus has been trying to reach you for an hour. You block your mind link. Phone goes to voicemail. And here you sit, having a tea party with some whore. I stood and said, "You watch who you're calling names." He spun on me, and 3 things happened. Our eyes met. His scent hit me, and he spun on his heel and walked away. I said, "Who was that?" Mark said, "That's one of our alphas, Roman. His twin, Perseus, is the other one." I nodded and said, "My wolf said I had more than one mate, and one of them doesn't want me. Story of my life." I turned and went to the locker room to shower. Just another day in paradise. Mark asks, "What the fuck just happened?"
Chapter 3. I kind of deserve that. Roman's POV.
I got sent on an errand for Perseus. Go find out why Mark is unreachable. Because just call me Gopher. I was out anyway. But that's not the point. Things have been strained between us since the Felicia episode. So for now, I just avoid him. Which isn't the mature thing. But I'm still licking my wounds. I spotted his truck at the gym and waltzed through the door in righteous anger. I call him out about his block and phone. Then accuse him of being too busy with a whore. Only to find out she's not a whore. Or maybe she is. But she's my mate. My mate? I don't even know if I'm ready for a mate now. I don't know if I trust a woman now. And what do? I run. Bo is making me lose my mind. I shift as soon as I am out the door and run. I don't slow for about 20 miles. I ran away from our mate. After calling her an awful name, I didn't know why I was so angry at Mark until I realized it was Bo. He was possessive and jealous, with no clue what was happening. We ran for a couple hours, and I realized I needed to talk to Perseus. I linked him that I wanted to talk to him. He told me, "You know where I am." He always has to be a smartass. He could have just said okay. But nope. Too few words for Perseus. I make it to the pack house. Slipping into a pair of shorts, I make my way to the office. Perseus doesn't even look up from the paperwork he's dealing with. "Did you find Mark? Did he tell you why his link is down?" I sit down and say, "I found him. He was at the gym. Looked like he had been sparring with some girl sitting with him. I guess they were sparring. They were both sweaty. I yelled at him about it. Told him you wanted to see him, and I may have called the girl a whore." He sat there a minute and asked if I apologized. I shook my head, and he said, "You call a random girl a whore, and you didn't apologize? What is going on with you?" I stood and said, "You called Felicia a whore. Did you apologize?" He shrugs. "Fuck no, I didn't. She is a whore. Tried and proven. It's not an insult if it's the truth." "Is this girl a whore? Do you know her?" He had me there. And now I get to tell him the best part. Hopefully, he leaves my head intact. I tell him, "No, I don't know. She smelled pure. Perseus. She's our mate. She's our mate, and I ran away." He growled, "No, first you called her a whore. Then you ran away. Who is she? Where does she live?" I growled back at him. "I don't know, Pers. I ran away after I called her a horrible name. She probably hates me." He started laughing. "Oh my goddess. You are going to have to grovel if you want her to accept you. Oh, with that look, you are wrestling with whether you're going to reject her or not. Aren't you? You're in a shoal, Roman. I swear to the goddess, if our mate rejects me because of the pain you cause, you will no longer be my brother. I want my true mate, and only her. You had better figure your shit out and fast." Mark knocked, and we both said, "Come in." Once he sat down, Perseus said, "Never block your link again. I needed you earlier." But I had Jeff investigate. There's been some rogue activity off to the northwest. They set camp a little close to our border and didn't bank their campfire. We had a brush fire go almost out of control. Mark cleared his throat and said, "I'm sorry, Alpha. I didn't realize I had it blocked. I was at gym, sparring with one of my students. She's gotten really good the last 2 weeks. Had me tagging out in under 5 minutes. I asked, 'Who is she?' His head spun on me and said, 'Someone you hurt?' Her exact words were, 'Macy told me I had more than one mate, and one of them doesn't want me. So you tell me, is she your mate?' Perseus answered him, 'She is our mate.' 'Yes, now, who is she and where does she live?' Mark looked between us. First Percy, and then me. He finally responds, 'She's Sadie O'Connell's adopted daughter. Her name is Paulina, but I call her Shortstop. She ain't no bigger than a minute. Explosive little thing. I don't know where she lives. We don't ask. You know my gym specializes in training women in defense, because they usually come from abusive situations, right? Well, Shortstop is no different. I don't know her story, but I know she's hiding. I imagine you could find her at Sadie's diner tomorrow. I heard she inherited it when Sadie passed away.' I look over at Perseus and say, 'We can go tomorrow and I will apologize. I want her to know I really am sorry. I shouldn't have taken my anger out on her.' He nods and goes back to his paperwork after dismissing Mark. I decided I may as well get my own paperwork done. I have screwed off enough for one day. We had been working in silence for a couple hours. I sighed and said, 'Perseus, I'm sorry. I got impatient and let some people get in my head. I got to thinking our mate might be dead or already made it to someone. Then I got scared and I didn't want to be alone anymore. I cared about Felicia. She was always looking after me, dropping everything to see me. It made me feel good, and it made me think maybe sharing a mate isn't for me. I guess I wanted to be selfish for once, even though it never felt quite right. I do know it would kill me to see our fated mate every day and not be able to be with her.' Pers had sat silently, listening to me. When I finished, he replied, 'I am upset with you, Roman. We have known our whole lives we would share a mate. We have shared everything from the date of conception. We shared an egg. We shared a sac. In a womb we shared. You hold a third of my soul, as I hold a third of yours. Only our goddess-given mate can complete our souls. If you reject her, a piece of yourself will always be missing. You will never feel complete. A piece of our mate's soul would always be missing. She will always yearn for it to be filled. It will hurt her every day. Ask yourself, is that what you want? For the woman created specifically for us? Because if it is, then reject her. But know that I will not. I will take her far away from here, from you, and from this pack. You will have your wish, brother. You won't have to share anything else with me. You can be Alpha without me. She is my mate, and I will give everything up, if it means she could be happy.' I sat there shocked, thinking over everything he said. I realized it isn't what I want at all. I told him, 'No, that isn't what I want. I want her to be happy. I want all three of us to be happy. We will be happy. I just have to get her to forgive me.' He laughed. 'Yeah, I'm sure glad it isn't me. I'm not even helping you clean up this mess.' I laughed with him and said, 'Yeah, I kind of deserve that.'
Chapter 4. I hope I don't regret this. Paulina's POV.
I didn't sleep worth a damn. I kept reliving the look on Roman's face. I mean, what the hell? He didn't ask my name. He barely looked at me. Ain't even going to lie. It kind of hurt, but it's another day. I have 3 interviews this morning for servers, and I still have to check my email for anyone else who may have applied. I was pleased with the response my ad got. Almost immediately, I got to the diner and made a pot of coffee. I rolled silverware and cleaned the grill and the fryer. I was standing on a chair hanging cute little valances that I bought to dress the windows up. When I heard the bell, I yelled, "Be right with you." And a deep voice said, "Take your time. I'm enjoying the view." Crap, crap, double crap. I got down on the ladder. Without looking at him, I asked, "Want some coffee?" He HMM'd and said, "Yes, please, black." I nodded and said, "Have a seat." I poured his coffee, then fixed mine. I carried both cups out and set his down. While I slid into the other side of the booth, I asked, "Where's Roman? Shouldn't he be here too?" Perseus looked at me for long moments. Then he said, "You are, hands down, the most beautiful woman I have ever seen." I blushed so hard my ears were hot, and laughed a little. "Thank you, I think," but it didn't answer my question. "If you're going to reject me, you should both be here." He whispers, "I will never reject you, but to answer your question, Roman is outside. He wants to apologize, but he's nervous." I nod. Then I tell him, "May as well get him in here. I am going to tell you my story. Then you can both decide whether you want to accept me or not." I got up and got another cup of coffee for Roman and brought the rest of the pot to the table with cream and sugar. Perseus had gone to bring Roman inside. They sat beside each other opposite me. Roman said, "I sincerely want to apologize to you for calling you a whore. I don't know why I did, and I want to also apologize for running. Please forgive me. I have been going through some things, but no, that's not even an excuse. I am truly sorry." I nodded and smiled. Bet that was painful. I admit to being hurt, and more than a little confused. But I will eventually get around it. Besides, when I tell you what I have to tell you, it's quite possible you'll decide you don't want my headaches. Anyway, Perseus starts shaking his head. "Nothing you can say will make me not want you. You are our mate, and Ace is already so attached to Macy. It's scary." I said, "Macy is an amazing wolf. She's beautiful. And Sacy, she has a vicious streak that can be frightening. But I digress. My name is Paulina Albright. That is not my real surname. It is one given to me when I was 4 years old, by the Alpha of Orange River Pack in Virginia. He said he found me wandering alone. In the woods, I was wrapped in an expensive designer blanket, made of cashmere with a mink lining. The corner of the blanket has my name embroidered on it. For the next 12 years, I was virtually a slave. If I didn't do as I was told, and in a timely fashion, I was punished, I was beaten, or locked in a tiny closet. Alpha Brennan is extremely fond of sensory deprivation as a torture means, or locked in my room, sometimes up to 5 days, with no food or water, depended on the magnitude of my infraction. I stopped and sipped my coffee and let them process. 2 years ago, the Alpha came to me and told me I was being auctioned off to the highest bidder so he could recoup the money he wasted on raising me. I was 16. No way was I going to allow myself to be sold. I escaped 3 nights before the auction was to take place. I ran for 4 days and ended up here. Sadie took me in and showed me what love feels like. She treated me like a daughter, and I had never felt anything like that before. I don't know who I am. I don't know if I was abandoned or kidnapped, if my parents are looking for me, or if they are dead. Perseus was holding my hand, and I have no idea when that even happened. Roman smiled at me. "None of what you said is a deal breaker. I was stupid yesterday. I'm going to try to not be stupid again. I, Roman Demeter, Alpha of Dark Shadow Pack, accept you, Paulina Albright, as my mate and Luna." I was stunned. Within seconds, Perseus voiced his acceptance. Then Roman said, "Before you accept me back, I have to tell you something." I nodded and waited. He told me everything about Felicia and all that had transpired, and it hurt. It hurt bad. He told me how sorry he is he didn't wait, that he was impatient, that he almost made the biggest mistake of his life. I nodded and said, "Everyone makes mistakes. I want to accept you both now. Before I do, I want you to know, Roman, I will forgive you. I just need a little time. This Felicia person, I take it she is still a member of your pack?" They both nodded and I sighed. "Okay, I will deal with it if I need to. If she comes at me, you are not to interfere. I will handle it." They both agreed. I quoted my acceptance of them both, and we felt the bonds snap into place. It was such a feeling of completeness, of belonging, that I was speechless. Perseus stood and asked, "Can we hug you?" At my nod, he wrapped his arms around me and breathed in my scent. He smelled like a pine forest after the rain, and I know I could get lost in it. Roman hugged me next, and he smelled of the air before a new snowfall. I asked, "Now what?" "I have several interviews in about 45 minutes. Do you want to hang out?" Perseus pulled her back to him. "We have quite a few things to take care of this morning. You were at the top of that list. I was doing nothing until I met my beautiful mate. You are always going to be our priority. We would like to have dinner with you. Will you go on a date with us tonight?" I smiled at them both. I haven't ever been on a date before. What do I even wear? Roman grinned. So many things I can say right here, but I will leave it alone. Dress nice. There's an upscale restaurant that serves really great food we'd like to take you to. They handed me their phones for me to program my number in. Then they both shot me a text. No name, just "Hey pretty lady" from both of them. And I knew which one sent what text. Perseus texted a straight-up normal text with a heart emoji. Roman sent a text with heart eyes. Immediately after the "hey," and a kissy face after pretty lady, and I loved it. After they left, I prepared for my interviews. I made fresh coffee and set out some little pastries. I wanted them to feel comfortable, to want to work with me. I hired the first girl. She was quiet, but confident. She is a young mother and asked for morning or afternoon shifts. I made a note of that in her file and shook her hand. Her name is Bernadette, but wants to be called Bernie. The second interview was a girl named Anna. She was dressed in shorts and a half top. She was heavily made up and smacking bubblegum while talking to me. I asked, "What makes you want to work here?" She tinkled out a fake laugh and responded, "Oh, I don't want to work here. My parents are making me get a job because apparently I am aimless and disrespectful." Who knew? I nod and say, "My initial response is to refuse you this opportunity. I am willing to hire you. But there are 3 conditions. You never come to work dressed the way you are right now. You always treat our customers with the utmost respect. Until it's time to come get me. You are always on time. And pull your weight. Ball is in your court. If you want the job, I'm willing to give it a shot and see where it takes us." She squealed and asked, "You're giving me a chance? This is the 5th place I applied, and none of the others ever asked the questions you asked. Thank you. You have no idea how happy I am right now." I laughed and told her I would be in touch with her schedule and asked if she needed help getting black pants and shoes. She said no, but then asked if black ripped jeans would be okay. I said no. I would rather her work pants were intact. So I asked again, "Do you need help with that? I provide the shirts, but everyone wears black pants and shoes." And for some reason, she found that hilarious. I hope I don't regret this.
Chapter 5 That She Did. Perseus's POV.
Roman, and I left the diner feeling on cloud 9. I asked, "Well, how are you feeling?" He smirks and snarks, like I should have listened. I feel like an idiot. Mom and Dad are right. There is no better feeling in the world. I am so full of regret. Did you see her face when I told her about Felicia? She was so hurt. I caused that, and I never want to see that look again, especially if it's caused by me. I laugh. Awa, my little brother is growing up. He laughs with me and says, "Yep," by 10 whole minutes. That has always been our joke. I am the big brother. Even though we are the same, we ran our errands and ordered new fencing to replace what burned in the brush fire. I called the restaurant and made reservations. As we headed home to get ready, Roman texted Paulina asking for her address, and when she responded, "Hey, she lives in Sadie's house. Why didn't we know that, bro? We need to be more in touch with the pack." We arrived at 6:30 to pick our mate up. Roman held a bouquet of calla lilies, and I just stood, ramrod straight, as I rang the doorbell. We heard her yell, "Come in." Then she told us she'd be down in a second, and I said, "Best get comfortable. She's a girl. We have a good half hour before we see her." I no sooner got the words out when I heard, "I'm not your typical girl." I said a second, and I missed it by a minute. I laughed as I stood, and my breath caught in my throat. I looked at my twin, and his expression reminded me of that cartoon dog. You know the one. His jaw is on the floor, tongue hanging out and heart-popping eyes. Our mate was absolutely gorgeous. Her blonde hair was curled in beaky waves down the middle of her back. She wore very little makeup. A face like hers didn't need enhancing. Her eyes were huge and as blue as the sky. She had on a classic little black skater-style dress, which highlighted her gorgeous legs, her tiny feet encased in shiny black strappy heels. I said, "You are positively radiant, my love. How tall are you?" She giggled and asked, "Don't you mean how short?" "I am a whopping 5'2". In my stocking feet, in my heels, I achieved the grand height of 5'6". Roman laughs and hugs her close, our very own pocket princess. She stuck her tongue out at him, and I melted at her cuteness. We arrived at the restaurant with 15 minutes to spare. There was no such thing as waiting for the Demeters. Once we were seated, and the hostess handed us the menus and took our drink order. Our girl ordered Jameson in a rocks glass with 2 ice cubes, and I was impressed. Jameson is always my go-to. I ordered the same, while Roman got a beer. When our server walked over, I cringed. Roman seemed to shrink in on himself, and Paulina looked like the cat who ate the canary. She smiled a beautiful smile and looked at our server's name tag and said, "Good evening, Felicia. I believe I will have the cordon bleu, with pen pasta and a Caesar salad as my starter." Felicia snarked, "It might be best if you just stick with a salad." Rome and I both stiffened, but Paulina took each of our hands and squeezed. Remembering our no interference rule, we sat quietly fuming. Paulina's smile never wavered as she said, "And it might be best you stick to doing the job you are paid to do. Your comments are not asked for, nor are they needed. As long as you act respectfully and courteously, we won't have a problem. Your little snarky comment has already cost you $1 off your tip. Now be a dear and take my mate's orders. We are all quite famished." And she did just that. Roman leaned close to Paulina and whispered, "I am so sorry." She smiled and shook her head. "I am a pro at handling bullies, especially mean girls. I can handle it. Just so you know, it's going to get a whole lot worse before it gets better. Right about now, she's thinking of ways to get even with me for embarrassing her. She may even spit in my food. It's all good. I'm about to fuck her whole night up. This mate of ours is something else. She's taking this all, seemingly in stride. I have a feeling Roman is going to be apologizing. A lot. It's going to be entertaining, watching him squirm." Felicia returned with our shrimp cocktails and Paulina's salad, and the fun began. Paulina asked her to bring more croutons to the table for her salad. Felicia stormed off, but was back shortly with the extra croutons. Then Paulina asked, in a sugary voice, "Please, I need a side of Caesar dressing. The salad is too dry." Felicia snapped, "Because you have too many croutons, idiot." Paulina grinned. "Very astute of you, rude, but astute. Another $1 off your tip, though. The dressing?" Felicia spun and went back to get the dressing. When she returned, Paulina ordered another round of drinks. And I saw exactly how this dinner was going to go. One rude server facing off against the customer from hell. Paulina was going to have her running all night. I had ordered duck à la orange and Roman had ordered a sirloin. When the food arrived, Felicia set our plates in front of us, but slung Paulina's across the table to her, and the chicken landed in her lap. It was hot and Paulina sprung to her feet, just as Roman and I did. She calmly said, "Go back to the kitchen. Tell the chef to prepare another dinner for me. Your tip, which would have been quite generous, is now going to have to pay to Drickley and my dress. Now go." Felicia went back to the kitchen and did as Paulina told her to do. When she brought the check to the table, Paulina told her to ask the chef and the manager to step to our table. Felicia looked panicked, and I was all smug humor. When they arrived at the table, Paulina said, "Chef, the cordon bleu was superb. A 10 out of 10. I appreciate the time you took to prepare a new dinner for my clumsy self." I stared at her. She took the blame. To the manager, she said, "I enjoyed my first experience at your restaurant. The ambience is delightful. The food delicious. However, I fear our server needs a bit more training in her people skills. Possibly keep her in the back of the house until you feel she has improved." We paid the check, and once back in the truck, I had to ask, "You didn't get her fired. Why? She certainly deserved it." She smiles and replied, "She expected that. She knew she was going home unemployed. I don't like assumptions. And since that was what she assumed was my goal, I left her with no leg to stand on. She couldn't attack me. She couldn't act out. She had to swallow her anger and stew in it. Kill him with kindness." We all laughed. Then she invited us in for drinks and to get acquainted. We sat in the living room, talking and enjoying each other's company. Our mate is smart and strong. She exudes confidence and control. Her heart is kind, pure. She is everything we were promised, and then some. She agreed to meet our parents tomorrow, and our mom is going to eat her up. I just hope they don't scare her away. As we get ready to leave, Roman apologizes again. She kisses us each on the cheek and says, "You can't keep apologizing for a mistake you made before you met me. Do I wish there wasn't a crazy ex waiting in the wings, plotting 1,000 ways for me to die? Of course I do, but that's her problem. And if she persists, well, there will simply be a fresh face in hell for breakfast. Someone should let her know to get her will in order." We walked out and climbed in the truck. We buckled in, and I started the truck to head out. Rome says, "Did she just threaten to kill Felicia?" Because that's my takeaway from that conversation. I laughed and said, "That she did, brother, that she did."
Chapter 6. She was loving it. Paulina's POV.
The days fell into a routine. My mates joined me for breakfast at the diner almost every day. I haven't spoken to the king and queen as their future daughter-in-law yet, but I assured the guys I had met them at Sadie's funeral. At all times, one of them was close by. They even recruited Brandon in their little keep an eye on me scheme. I didn't mind, though. It was cute, in a way. I was in my office doing paperwork and payroll. I glanced at the monitor when I heard the door ding to see who walked in. It was Felicia. With 2 other girls, I smirked, thinking, "Yay, the mean girl team has arrived." I watched as they deliberately taunted Anna. They spit paper wads at her that they had made from napkins. They tripped her, yanked her apron tie, making everything fall to the floor. And I walked over to the table. Anna, you're on break, honey? I will take care of this table. Felicia sneered. You come into my 5-star restaurant and act like your shit don't stink. Do you know the difference between a waitress and a real server? A waitress is a glorified scullery maid. And here you are, a waitress in a skeevy little diner. I smiled and said, Yes, are you planning on ordering? Or just harassing the staff? She scoffs and orders chef's salads with water to drink. Since I already knew her game, I set up a side cart with dressings of every kind we had, as well as a pitcher of ice water. She was planning on making me a runner. It's what I did to her. She complained about everything. The lettuce was wilted, the tomatoes warm, the eggs undercooked. She asked for more ice and lemon for her water. When I delivered the check, she said loudly, I would like to speak to your manager. Your service is subpar. Get him now. I nodded and said certainly. I stepped back from the table, turned a 360, and plastered a smile on my face. Hello, I'm the owner. How may I help you? It is my understanding you wish to enter a complaint. She sputtered. You bitch. You think you can make a fool of me? By this time, all my customers were aware of what was going on. Roman had arrived with Perseus and Brandon, and I just kept smiling. Of course, I don't think that. I know I can make a fool of you, but it would be a wasted effort. You make a fool of yourself, all on your own. Every time you open your mouth. Now tell me, what is your complaint? She lunged for me, and I grabbed her. She spit in my face, so I bounced her head off the table. I sneered. You're a real class act, aren't you? Here's a little hygiene tip. Maybe shower after you've had several men in your bed. You reek of old sex and shame. Her little entourage gasped, while my customers clapped and laughed. Felicia stood and dropped into defense. I sighed. You don't want to try me, warning her. But apparently, heeding a warning is beyond her capabilities. She swung at me, a wide arm flung out swing. I stepped back 2 steps, and she hit air, then had the audacity to screech, Stand still, bitch. Because that's exactly my plan when someone swings on me, right? I laughed and said, Swing wider? I don't know. I could show you how it's done, but I don't want you bleeding all over my floor. She screamed and lunged at me. Damn it. I grabbed her by the throat, applying enough pressure to force her to pass out. Looking at her friends, I said, Pay your check, take the trash out, and never come back. If that's the company you keep, I pity you. I watched as they did what I said. Then I walked over to the guys. I don't really need a babysitter. You know, all 3 grinned and Perseus pulled me close to him. He kissed my forehead and said, Maybe not, but we need cheeseburgers. Join us for lunch? Anna came to take our order and tried apologizing. I stopped her mid-sentence. Anna, they are bullies. If they ever show up again, Bernie will wait on them. Or you come get me. I will not allow you to be bullied by anyone. Roman took my hand, kissing my knuckles. You really are such a pure heart, Abada's. But your heart is as pure as I have ever seen. We need to discuss your Luna ceremony, babe. Mom is making us crazy about it, and we were informed they will be here in 2 days. I yelped, 2 days? A ceremony in 2 days? That's too soon. Nothing is planned. I don't have a dress. I'm not ready. Perseus laughs. Easy, my Emmer. Our parents are coming in 2 days. We'd like the ceremony to happen in 9 days. On the full moon, we would love it if you would come to the pack house. Be there to greet our parents and grandfather. We want to show you off. I grin at him. I am falling in love with them, and I am excited to spend my life with them. I still feel a twinge of hurt over the Felicia situation. But I am not so petty I can't see past it either. I sigh, like I don't really care about a huge ceremony, when in reality I'm so excited I can barely sit still. Perseus asks, "Is there anything in particular you'd like? Colors? Flowers? The menu? This day is all about you, and whatever you want is exactly what we want." I laugh and retort, "What hogwash? Here's what I want. I want to be surprised. I want your mom to work her magic, and I will just show up, all prettified and ready to race down the aisle." Brandon choked on his soda. Prettified? Prettified? We are making up our own words again? I'm down, following Luna's lead. "My word of the day is uglified," I gasped. "You cheater. You piggybacked my word and pulled an opposite out your ass. Not cool, dude. Not cool." He says, Okay, ye. Give me a minute." Bitch slappery. That's 2 words. So I created my own phrase. I rolled my eyes and said, "Okay, that's acceptable, but don't piggyback any more." Perseus asked, "What the hell are you two doing?" Brandon chuckles and tells him Luna and I are bored with dictionaries. So every day, we make up new words, going to write our own dictionary. Roman shakes his head and says, "You're such an idiot." Brandon gasps, "Luna, he called you an idiot." I laughed and responded, "No, he didn't. He has sense enough to know that whole spiel about writing a dictionary is malarkey. And you are an idiot. But you're our idiot, so it's fine." Perseus asks, "Can you take the afternoon off? Ace and Bo are wanting to meet Macy, and for some reason today, they haven't given us a moment's peace." I smiled at him and told him, "I'd love to. Let me just leave instructions with the line cook, and let Bernie know it's her night to close, and I'll be ready to go." I climbed into the truck with my guys, and Perseus asks if I need anything from home. Staying at the pack house a few nights, I had already packed a bag. Shaking my head, I told him I was good. Arriving at the pack house, I am always awestruck. It's amazing, crafted from all the raw materials around us. The lumber, the stone, the floor-to-ceiling windows, of course, were ordered in, but the aesthetic was seamless, almost like it raised itself from the earth. We went to the backyard, and I shifted into my silver Macy. She stands nearly as tall as Ace and Bo, both of whom are busy rubbing their scents all over her, and she was loving it.
Chapter 7. I look like my mom. Perseus's POV.
We are out front, waiting for Mom and Dad. She's so excited about spending time with Paulina and getting the Luna ceremony set up. Roman and I have decided we do not want to be crowned kings yet. We want to wait until our child is old enough to ascend. Their cars pull in, and Dad steps out, helping my mother from the car. Grandpa gets out of the front passenger side, while our Uncle Kenneth was driving. Roman and I stepped forward to hug Mom, and she pushed us aside, grabbing Paulina in a huge hug. Dad chuckles. She hasn't shut up since we left home. Let her have this moment. Mom pulls back and says, "Paulina, I am Renata, but you call me Mom, or Renee. Mom is good, but you may need time. Do you need time to warm up to it? You're my only girl. I have a daughter now. I am so happy. Are you happy? Are the boys behaving? You can tell me. I'll straighten them right the hell out. Just let me know." Paulina is looking at Rome and me with a shocked, confused look, and I am biting my lip to keep from laughing. There is no better introduction to my mother than when she is lost in her head. They turn to walk in, and Mom tells us to help Dad with the luggage, relegated to bellhop. Apparently, I love my family. We ordered all the luggage delivered and met up with our parents in the conference room. Kenneth was talking to Paulina, and Dad and Grandpa were sipping whiskey. Grandpa calls me over and says, "What do you know about your mate?" I furrowed my brow and said, "All I need to know." "Why?" He pats my shoulder and said, "Slow down, boy. I think you need to tell us a story." I walked over to our mate and asked, "Baby, is it okay to tell my family about what happened to you? Do you feel better telling it?" She shook her head. "No, I don't like repeating it. It just reminds me of who I used to be." I nodded and Roman pulled her into his lap, whispering, "You just cuddle with me and we will let them talk." I smiled at them both and kissed her forehead. I sat down in my chair beside them and began. Paulina, as far as we know, is an orphan. When she was around 4 years old, Alpha Brennan of Orange River Pack found her wandering the forest. She became, virtually, their slave. She was starved, beaten, locked away, for whatever infraction someone claimed she was responsible for. The Alpha gave her the last name of Albright. However, they knew her given name was Paulina. She had a cashmere, mink-lined blanket wrapped around her, with her name embroidered on it. Grandpa speaks up. "Paulina, has your wolf searched your memories?" She nodded and told him she won't tell me what she's seen. She keeps saying it's not time yet, Charles. He smiles at her and asks, "Do you still have that blanket?" She jumps up and leaves the room. Roman chuckles. She's gone to get it. Bet. He was proven right when she walked back in and handed it to Grandpa. He took it and held it close to his face. With tears in his eyes, he said, "Now I will tell you a story. Your grandmother was the daughter of Alpha Emery Williams of Red Lake Pack. Her best friend was the Beta's daughter. Her name was Desiree Harris. I met your grandmother at the mating ball. Desiree met her mate, Alpha Raymond Green, over at Mountain Trail Pack in Colorado. Kenneth and Matthew played with Desiree's son, Henrik. We just called him Ricky. Good kid, weak, though. Not a leader, for sure." He stood and handed the blanket back to Paulina, grabbed another whiskey, and sat back down with a sigh. "Ricky met his mate about the same time you mother and dad met. Her name was Elena Burgess. Her dad was Alpha of some pack in the South. Can't recall the name. Probably should look that up. She was only 16, so Henrik had to wait 2 years for his mate. In that time, he ascended to Alpha. Like I said, though, he wasn't a strong Alpha. Would have made a great Gamma, but I digress." I looked at my dad. He linked me not to interrupt, and I knew better anyway. Grandpa is a storyteller, and he gets upset if we ask questions before he's finished. Clearing his throat, he says, 2 years after Ricky and Elena mated, she was pregnant. I lost touch with them after my mate paced. But that blanket, I recognized it immediately. Grandma made that blanket, embroidered the name with her own hands, and she gifted it to Henrik and Elena at their baby shower. Roman yelled, "Purrs, help," and I jerked my head to them, seeing Paulina gasping for air and her eyes rolling up. Mom rushed to her and hugged her, whispering and taking her panic away. Paulina paced out, and Roman panicked even more. I lifted her into my arms and sat down while Dad snapped, "Run to Rome." Bo took off before he started breaking shit. Mom said, "Panic attack. Our poor girl has been through it. I'm telling all of you right now. This Alpha Brennan. Evil man. Cruel. Brutal. Her wolf has blocked her memories. It won't be pretty when she releases them. Be prepared." Fuck me. I leave the mind link open to Roman so he wouldn't miss anything we talk about. I ask Grandpa, "Is Henrik still alive? Elena, what happened? How did they lose their daughter? And why didn't she remember them?" Grandpa shakes his head. "No one knows." By the time everyone realized the pack hadn't been responding to emails or phone calls, it was too late. The council at the time did a cursory investigation and said the pack was like a ghost town. All the buildings are standing, but the place is deserted. I asked my dad, You weren't king yet? He nodded and said, I was. But we were 5 years getting rid of the corrupt council and replacing them with decent people. We were still transitioning, and it slipped through the cracks. I said, well, it looks like we have some investigations to conduct. Paulina will want to know what happened, and I want to give her that. She needs answers. Roman walked back in and said, Brandon, and I will go tomorrow. I want to see this pack. Maybe get a clue as to what happened. Paulina says softly, I want to go. No, I need to go. There has to be a clue as to what happened. I had parents. My name is Paulina Green. I have a name. And Grandpa said, you look just like your mother. With your father's eyes, honey. They are why I questioned you at all. That color blue is rare. She looked at me and whispered, I have my dad's eyes, and I look like my mom.
Chapter 8. They Will Pay. Paulina's POV.
My heart is filled with trepidation. I couldn't sleep at all. Perseus and Roman ended up sleeping in my room with me. We talked all night, and I actually loved how comfortable it feels with both my guys. After breakfast, we loaded up in trucks to drive the 3 hours it would take to reach Mountain Trail Pack. Roman asks, how could an entire pack just disappear? There couldn't have been no trace of them. Renata says, there's no sense speculating. We will figure it out when we get there. The earth knows, I will ask, and someone will answer. Paulina, are you okay, my little love? She reaches over and squeezes my hand. I nodded my head, squeezing back. Arriving at the border of Mountain Trail, I felt my breath catch, and my heart raced. My body remembers this place. My entire body is tingling. I'm not sure what's happening. Perseus pulls me into his lap and says, let yourself feel it, baby. Your heart will settle down in a few minutes. You haven't been home for 15 years. It's okay to be anxious. As we pulled up to the pack house, I was experiencing such a sense of déjà vu. It felt like I was out of my own body. Perseus helped me out, and I looked around. Something flashed in my mind, and I ran to the oak tree in the side yard. I gasped, this is my tree. I had a swing. Right there. That branch. I was here. This is where I hid. Up there. My dad had a hammock. He hung it at nearly the top of the tree, and we would climb up there and sleep, sometimes. He would read to me. Perseus said, hid? Are you remembering anything, baby? I shook my head. It's something. I remember swinging here. My mom pushing me, sitting on her lap, and Daddy pushing us both. I remember lunchtime picnics, napping in the shade here. I was happy. Renata took my hand and whispers, Oakley remembers, and Roman said, oh, come on, Mom. An oak tree named Oakley. That's too much. Renata giggles. Alice has a sense of humor. What can I say? Paulina, Oakley says the answers we seek are inside. If this is too much, we can sit and rest. Shaking my head again. I tell her, no. I keep getting flashes of memory. Macy is whining in my head. Whatever happened here is not good. As long as you are all with me, I want to get through this. She nods and Roman takes my right hand, while Perseus holds the left. We step up the front steps, and I notice the pack house door is hanging off its hinges. The frame appeared kicked in. As I step past the threshold, my mind fills with screams and cries of everyone in my pack. I drop to the ground, crying. I vaguely remember the thunderstorm before I pass out. My daddy is shaking me awake. Polly, wake up, princess. Grab your blankie. You get to sleep in your hammock tonight. Come on, baby. We have to hurry. He carries me to the tree and puts me on the branch. Baby, climb up to the hammock. Promise me, you don't come down. No matter what you hear, you stay put. Mommy or I will come get you. Promise me. He knows if I promise, I won't break it. Shelley broke her promise, and she got bit by a spider. Her arms swelled up, and they thought she would lose it. Breaking promises is bad juju, so I promise. I snuggled down into the hammock and wrapped my blanket around me. I can hear sounds of fighting. Not like the training grounds. There is no laughter, no joking. There is screaming and crying. It's dark, and I am scared. Just before the sun breaks the horizon, I hear a man's voice. Is that everyone? You're sure? Everyone is dead? Another man said. We gaced the bunker, Alpha. The boys are getting it open now. Everyone else is dead. They are piling the bodies to burn. As they are walking away, the first man says, and the girl? I listened closely as the other man said, we believe she will be in the bunker, Alpha. I stayed buried in my blanket. The smell of burning flesh making me stomach churn. I'm hungry and thirsty, but I promised Daddy, so I wait. I know I have been in the hammock a long time. The sun is low in the sky. It will be dark soon. I hear that man yelling again. What do you mean? Where is she then? Obviously, we would have found her if she was hiding. Are you sure your information was correct? Not one person admitted to ever seeing the girl. The nursery looks like it's never used. Something isn't right. The other guy said, all I know is she isn't here. No little girl that age was found in the safe room or the bunker. My guy says she's the Alpha's daughter, and she has the power of the goddess. I realize they are talking about me. This is my fault. I caused this, and I don't know how. I promised myself to never use my powers again. No more. I can't risk hurting anyone else. I begin to cry silently, and the rain pours down. They all left the next day, and I waited another whole day for my daddy. He never came. I climbed down and walked quietly to the front of the house. The door hangs loosely. I step inside to deathly quiet. I open my eyes, the worried faces of my mates hover above me, and I burst into tears. They both wrap around me, holding me tight, and the rain pours down. I whisper, I remember. I don't know who did it, but I remember. Perseus lifts me from the floor and walks over to the sofa. He sits with me on his lap and says, talk to us, my sweet girl. I tell him about my memories, how I didn't see anything. Only heard what I now know was my pack being murdered. Then I told them. It was my fault. They came for me. They heard I had something called the power of the goddess, but I don't even know what that means. I promised myself to never use my powers again, and my memories stopped when I stepped back in the pack house on the third day. Renata smiles and softly says, they didn't stop, baby girl. Macy thinks you have had enough for one day, so she blocked them. I searched my mind for Mace, and she's in a corner whimpering. My sweet girl is hurting too. I whisper I love her, and she lifts her head, thumping her tail twice. Orion says, Percy, I want to check the office. There may be something to tell us what happened here. Dad, will you and Kenneth check the bunker? Paulina said they gaced the occupants. I want to know how. I will find out who betrayed this pack. They will pay.
Chapter 9, That's Just Crazy. Roman's POV.
I sat with Paulina on my lap. As she calmed herself, my mom walked out to the overgrown backyard. She sat on the ground and reached her fingers into the earth. I knew she was communing, gaining insight into what the earth knows. Paulina asks, will you walk through the house with me? I want to see my parents' room. I am remembering more than I did. Macy is feeding me small memories that are happy ones. I stand, lifting her when I do. I stand her on my feet. Taking her hand, I whisper, lead the way, amore. She heads up the stairs. Never turning loose of my hand, we go to the third floor. She points to a closed door. That's the nursery. I hadn't slept there since my second birthday. My room is at the end of the hall, 2 doors up. Here, this is my parents' room. We walk inside, and it looks like they've just stepped out for a minute. She walks around the room, touching and picking things up. Her eyes widen, and she hurries to a door at the side of the room. Opening it, she breathes in deeply and says, "It smells like them. Even now, I can still smell my mama and daddy." I say nothing. I can feel she doesn't need my words, just my company. She smiles at me and says, "Watch," as she grabs a coat hook on the wall and pulls down on it. A door swings open to our left, and a small sitting room comes into view. She steps inside and says, "All my mama's important things are in here." I immediately mind-link my parents and Perseus to come to the Alpha's quarters. Paulina starts looking through the bookshelves. Pulling a photo album out, she sits on the floor and starts flipping through the pages. She whispers, "I do look like my mom." When Perseus found us, he pulled Paulina up and tells her, "Let us pack all this up for you. We will bring everything home with us." She nods at him with a little smile and says, "Under the table, in that corner, is a locked box. Under the floorboards. Mama always said it was her treasure trove of secrets. I don't know what's in it, but I want it, please." Perseus takes her to her room, and I go in search of boxes. Mom found me as I was coming up from the basement, and she offered to help pack up Elena's sitting room. Mom looks around the room, then says, "Your mate is special, Rome. Very special. Oakley told me to check her left foot. She carries the mark of the moon." I asked, "What does that even mean, Mom? You always said our mate was going to be special. How did you know?" She laughs and says, "I only meant she'd have to be special to mate both my boys. Goddess knows she'd have to put up with the two of you." I muttered a gee thanks as she laughed again. Then she said, "Something really bad happened here, Roman. Whoever wiped out this pack are still looking for her. That Alpha that found her, he's been at this pack, poking around, several times. 3 times in the last 2 years." I ask, "Alpha Brennan? The one who was going to sell her? Do you think he may not have just found her, like he said?" She shrugs. "I don't know, sweet boy, but I do know there are no such things as coincidences. If we can figure out the why, we will be able to find the who. Her memories are going to help. I just don't want her overwhelmed." I sigh and hug my mother and say, "I'm sorry about Felicia, Mom. I know now I never felt anything close to love. I don't even know what I was thinking. I wanted my mate, and Perseus was content to just sit and wait. I think I was acting on frustration, more than actually caring for Felicia." She kisses my cheek and whispers, "Did you apologize to your mate? She's the one you have to have forgiveness from. I am your mother. I am always in your corner, even when you fuck up worse than Hogan's goat." Shaking my head, I tell her, "I don't even know what that means. You're always using euphemisms I don't understand. Who is Hogan's goat? Tell me, Mom. How did he screw up?" She laughed. "It's from an old Irish folktale. A man named Hulk Hogan had a nasty old goat. Filthy thing. Stunk to high heavens. And he liked to drink alcohol. The villagers always thought it was funny to give him a pint or two and watch him get fuked up. He would tear through the village, head-butting things, biting people, run into walls, stumbling all the way home. One time, the goat was so drunk he destroyed the entire market in the town's center. So they butchered him for the meat. And when someone would get drunk, become a nuisance, they would be compared to Hogan's goat." I just shake my head at her. "You know what? Forget I even asked. I don't even want to know why you know that shit. I have the weirdest parents on the planet, I swear." She just laughs and tells me to get the boxes downstairs. She was going to find her daughter. After we loaded the 3 boxes, Paulina wanted to go home. I asked her if she wanted to go to Sadie's or the pack house. She smiled, leaning her head on my shoulder. She whispered, "You too are my home." My heart melted. "Thank you, goddess, for allowing me to love this amazing woman." Grandpa says, "I think we need to research the library." "Paulina, darling, do you have a birthmark? On your foot, perhaps?" She sat up and answered, "I do." "How did you know?" He laughed and said the oak tree told Renata. She took her boot off, and I pulled her sock off her tiny foot. There, across the entire top of her foot, on the left side, was a crescent moon, surrounded by 5 stars. She gasped and said, "It's always been a small white birthmark. Now it looks silver. And see, it's glittering in the light. That's new. Why did it change?" Mom says, "That's another thing we will research. I will need to send a message to Mother Moon. We will probably need her to shed some light in this whole situation." Pers and I both groan. "Dad Deephands thought your mom would let that one go." Paulina laughs, and we all felt it. Like a bubble of happiness just exploded in the car. Perseus asks, "What was that?" while Mom just grins. Dad asks, "Paulina, when did you notice your powers? Has anyone else noticed them?" She looks confused and responds, "I don't have any powers. Not real powers. I helped a bird heal once. But that's because I asked Mother Moon to not let her die. Other than that, none that I have noticed anyway." Mom pats her knee. "Oh, you have powers, baby girl. Haven't you noticed when you cry it rains?" Paulina shrugs. "Lots of people cry when it rains." Dad grins at her, realizing she honestly doesn't know she's gifted. "No, my daughter, it rains because you're crying," she gasps, saying, "That's just crazy."
Chapter 10. You are priceless. Paulina's POV.
Perseus and Roman have been phenomenal. They are so patient with me. I have decided we need to have my ceremony so we can start finding out what happened to my parents. So I'm headed to their office to discuss it. When I knocked, Perseus opened the door and pulled me into a big hug. "You don't ever have to knock, my beautiful mate. We are always available to you." I smiled and kissed his cheek. Then I walked to Roman to hug and kiss his cheek as well. Roman asks, "To what do we owe the pleasurable respite from this tedious paperwork?" I laughed and said, "We need to get the Luna ceremony out of the way, but I want to settle a few things between us." Rome immediately says, "I am so sorry about the Felicia thing, babe. Had I known the depth of emotion a mate bond evokes, I know I would never have gotten involved with her." I held up my hand. "No, babe, stop. That's old news and I am past it. I am referring to, well, when it comes to the 3 of us." "How will it work?" Perseus asks, in a really confused voice. "What do you mean? When we make love to you? Is that what you're asking?" I blush so hard my ears burn, but I nod. He grins and says, "I love the blush, innocent Bambi. Our first time. On the night of our mating and marking, we will both be with you. We know it is your first time, and we promise to be gentle. After that, we can proceed with whatever you're comfortable with. If you want to sleep in one of our rooms and have him all to yourself, that's fine. We can rotate nights with you, if that's what you'd prefer." We did completely renovate Alpha's quarters to accommodate the 3 of us, so we can all 3 always sleep together. It is entirely up to you, love. We go at your pace, and we won't push. I felt my entire body relax, and I responded, "I don't want to ever sleep a night apart from either of you. I love you both, and it wouldn't feel right being with one of you without the other. So I think we should all move into the Alpha's quarters." Roman had been simply staring at me. Then he asks, "You love us?" I giggled. Knowing that was all he had heard, I nodded. He swooped in and lifted me high in his arms. "I love you so much. You have made me the happiest man alive." And Perseus reaches us, saying, "Nope, that man would be me." I adore you, Paulina. I absolutely adore everything about you. They linked their parents, and within minutes. Upon hearing we want to go ahead with the ceremony, Renata jumped up and said, "Oh, I have so much to do. We need to call the caterers. Order decorations. I will make sure all the trees are decorated with fairy lights. Orion, I need you to email all the alphas. Let them know our boys are getting mated. I need to call Aaron and Evelyn. They need to be here. We need to go dress shopping. I have to." Orion said, "Out of your head, my fairy. Take a breath." I giggled. She was awesome. And the way they love each other is phenomenal. We all sat around, planning the ceremony. And Perseus says, "The full moon is in 4 days. We either have the ceremony then, or we wait another month. I don't want to wait. I want you to be ours in every way. It feels like we have waited forever for you already." I smiled and looked at Renata. "Can we do this thing in 4 days?" She started rattling off a whole bunch of things that I couldn't follow and stared at Perseus. He grinned. "It's fun, right? Welcome to our world." Charles came in, holding a book. "I found the mark. It has only appeared once before, 1,000 years ago. Here, listen. The bearer of the moon mark is the embodiment of the moon goddess here on Earth's realm. The goddess cannot stay long in the realm unless she has a vessel. She cannot interact in her wolves' lives from her heavenly realm. In her human form, she can. The heiress to the mark will understand all earthly emotions and experience harsh conditions in order to aid the goddess to deeper understanding of her wolves, so that she may lead them back to her doctrines." I am flabbergasted. I'm not sure what to say. I have only one thought. I will no longer be myself. The goddess is just going to take over my body and I what? Cease to exist? How is that fair? What does it mean for my mates? Charles replied, "No, no, sweet girl. She won't inhabit your body on a permanent basis. She will only appear in times of strife, when her presence is needed." I shrugged. Still not helping. I am still not understanding. Renata says, "Let me try. Paulina, honey, most people cannot see the goddess when she comes to Earth. All they see is a beam of light, or a flash, sometimes a mist. She can't speak to the maces, only individuals. By having an earthly vessel, she can address entire packs." I nod. "Okay, but she won't just jump into my body and hang out for months? I mean, I plan on having a healthy, physical life with my mates, and I am not even close to being fond of sharing them." Orion cracks up, while Renata says, "No, no, honey. I don't think that would ever be a notion the goddess would even entertain." Perseus smiles at me and takes me into his lap. "Baby, we would never cheat on you. Even with the moon goddess, we would know it wasn't you. And we wouldn't ever hurt you like that in the first place. Please don't think that she would persuade us otherwise." And I ask, "Why not? Any woman would be lucky to have you as their lovers. Have you met you?" Roman laughs. "Love? Are you seriously defending us? Upset at the goddess for not making her play? Goddess, I love you. You are priceless."
Chapter 11, Best Day Ever. Perseus POV.
The day has finally arrived. To say we are not nervous would be a lie. We are so excited that we stayed awake all night, planning our lives and everything we want to do with our mate, Roman. And I sat down 2 nights ago to explain to Paulina about our wolves and how they are different to normals. Hellhounds are on a whole other level. We are stronger, faster, larger than normal werewolves. Our pack is a mix of both normals and hounds, but still mostly hounds. Our dad still goes to packs all over the world, searching for newly spawned hounds. When we told her we are the only ones to ever be born a hellhound, she asked us to explain. So we explained most hellhounds are created when their DNA activates at their first shift. That wasn't the case with us. We were born hellhounds. She had smiled and said, "Okay, I'm just going to nod like I understand. And you're both going to pretend that you believe me." Roman comes in the room with Brandon. I almost laugh at the look on his face, except mine probably looks the same. Brandon walks over and pours us all a Jameson, and we sit. Then he laughs. "You two are too much. Sitting here, trying to act all nonchalant when I can practically hear your nerves trying to vibrate out of your body." Roman mumbles, "Shut up. Mom wouldn't even let me talk to Paulina through the damn door." I chuckled. She threatened to hit me with a vase. I looked at Brandon. "You keep fucking talking, bro. I will remind you when you meet your mate, and we have her ceremony in another hour. Everything will be right with our world." Our phones ding, signaling we got a text. I yank it out of my pocket so fast, it flew across the room and under the dresser, making them both crack up. "P. Is it too late to elope?" Mom is making my head hurt. How does she express so many thoughts at once? "I love you so much." And just like that, my nerves calmed down, and I released the breath I didn't realize I had been holding. As Roman says, "I can breathe again." I nod and tell him, who knew a text would be enough? As I was saying that, Dad walked in and said, "Your mother. She told Polly to let you know she was okay." Brandon laughed as Uncle Aaron came in behind Dad. I asked, "Were you this stressed out when it was yours and Mom's ceremony?" Aaron laughed. "Son, you don't even want to know. I was ready to knock him out. Dad tells me all the guests have arrived. You boys should get downstairs so everyone can say hello before this shindig gets started." I stood up and slammed the rest of my drink. I grabbed my suit coat, and we all went down to mingle. Roman smirks. "Maybe we can actually elope?" I laughed, saying, "I wish." The backyard was beautiful. "But holy fuck," I asked, "did you invite every single alpha on the planet?" Dad laughed and said, a few exceptions. But basically, you are the future kings, the princes of the realm. It's best we try not to offend your constituents. Aaron tells me your bags are in the car out front, so you can make a hasty exit as soon as possible." As he pats our shoulders, I thank him and move directly over to the bar and ordered another drink. Liquid courage. Roman steps up beside me and grins. "It won't help. I've had 4. I just need eyes on her. Then all this crap feeling will go away." I nod. "Me too, brother. Me too." After what felt like eternity, Dad tells us to take our positions. I look up and see Aunt Evelyn being led down the aisle by Uncle Aaron. Uncle Kenneth escorted our mom. Then soft music started to play. I could not have looked away from the doors if my life depended on it. Uncle Matt opened the doors and curtains drew back, and I nearly paced out. Standing in the doorway on Grandpa's arm was a vision. I knew this moment was seared into my brain for all eternity. Her beautiful blue eyes lifted and met mine, and then Roman's. A smile so radiant the sun would hide in shame moved across her face. Her white floor-length gown was a barely there sheath that clung to her curves. Her hair was pulled high on the sides, but loose down her back. Her neck and shoulders exposed for our marks, and a beautiful sapphire and diamond tiara crowned her head. Grandpa began walking towards us, and I hear Roman mutter, "Can he possibly walk any slower? Fuck. We are lucky, brother. So fucking lucky." I can't speak. I just nod. And that took effort. Paulina reached us, and we were luckily still on our feet, because Goddess knows I nearly went to my knees 100 times, and took each of our hands. Her smile never wavered as she whispered, "You both look hot." And that was all it took to break the tension in my shoulders. Roman whispered, "You are the most beautiful creature in the world." Dad cleared his throat and softly says, Let's get this show on the road, children, reprimanded by the king. Roman and I pledged our loyalty and love to our mate, and it was her turn. She spoke her vows to me. I, Paulina Green, pledge my loyalty, my love, and my life to you, Prince Alpha Perseus Demeter, and to you, Prince Alpha Roman Demeter. I accept you as my mates and alphas, now and forever. I pledge and do solemnly swear to perform and execute my duties as your mate and Luna. With all that I am, I swear fealty and faith to Dark Shadow's pack as their leader and Luna. Dad sliced our palms, and then each of hers as we joined hands. We watched her as the pack bond snapped into place. Then Dad turned to the crowd. My children have all decided Luna Paulina will mark her mates first. Paulina turned to me and whispered, "You either have to bend down here or I need a step stool." I grinned and tried not to laugh. No such luck for Roman. I lifted her into my arms and she licked my neck. Finding the spot she wanted, Macy drove her canines deep into the flesh, and I felt everything she wanted to say, but didn't. Then Roman lifted her into his arms, and she repeated her mark on him. When it was our turn to mark her, we both faced her and leaned our heads into her neck. He linked together, and we sank our teeth at the same time. She gasped and her knees buckled. We held her close until her body caught up with her marks. We pulled back, licking her wounds closed. Dad grinned and said, "Gentlemen, kiss your bride." And I took her in my arms, slowly and gently lowered my lips to hers. Her mouth opened willingly and my tongue danced with hers. We parted and she moaned. "Damn, plan on making her do that frequently." Roman turned her to him and dipped her deep. He kissed her for a long moment and she whimpered. So responsive, grinning. We all turned to the crowd and yelled, "We run!" The three of us stripped and shifted, leading the pack on a race around the back border, past the waterfall and along the river. Arriving back, we quickly dressed and sat to be served dinner. Best day ever.
Chapter 12, Honeymoon. Third-person POV.
Perseus and Roman walked over to Paulina, who was busy talking to Bernie about the diner, not knowing the guys had already asked her to take care of everything while they were away. Roman lifted her bridal style and was hurrying out the door, while Perseus told everyone good night. Loading up into the car, Perseus climbed behind the wheel and they drove off. Paulina laughed. "Am I being abducted?" Roman told her. "Absolutely. For the next 3 days, we have you all to ourselves, and we didn't want to waste another second of it." She asked, "Where are we going?" Both men just smiled, shaking their heads. "It's a surprise." Perseus held her left hand, while Roman hugged her to him. He whispered, "I regret everything I have ever done with Felicia. I promise you, I will spend this lifetime and into the next, making it up to you. I love you, Paulina. I swear to never hurt you again." He leaned down and captured her lips with his, and she sighed so sweetly. Pulling away, she said, "We never speak of it again. It is in the past, and I refuse to allow the past to affect our future. We can only move forward. I am happy. You make me happy. That is all I need to remember. I love you both. What happened before this day is forgotten and definitely forgiven." She leaned to her left and kissed Pers's neck, whispering, "Where are we going?" He laughed and said, "Patience, my amour. Do you want to spoil the surprise?" An hour later, they pulled up in front of a beautiful chalet, nestled in a little valley between twin mountain peaks. She gasped and said, "This is so beautiful. Is this where we get to spend the next 3 days?" Perseus exited the car, stretching. He turned. A large mule deer stood at the forest edge. He tilted his head, snorting and huffing. Perseus responded, "For a few days." "Douglas, this is our bride, Paulina. I appreciate you keeping an eye on the place." Paulina looked at Roman and whispered, "Is he talking to the deer?" Roman grinned and said, "Absolutely. His fairy side talks to animals." "Like Mom?" she asked him. "Can you hear him too?" He just shook his head. "I'm more of an elemental. I can control fire, earth, and water. Perseus can commune with all living things, and he can control the weather." As they got to the door, Perseus swooped her into his arms, smiling. "Roman carried you out of the party. I get to carry you inside our honeymoon home." She smiled back, saying, "I love you so much." Roman lit a fire and poured them all a glass of wine while Perseus retrieved their luggage. Paulina ran upstairs to freshen up, rinsing off in a quick shower. She opened her bag and took out a lacy, sheer nightmare Renata had made her buy. It was a beautiful shade of blue and matched her eyes perfectly. She could hear the low murmur of her mates as they talked and laughed together. She loved how much they love each other and how much they love her. She brushed her hair, leaving it loose, then headed back to her men. As she stepped off the landing, she saw them both staring at her. Their eyes darkened with desire, and Roman moved first. Lifting her in his arms, he brought her over to where Perseus stood. Pers leaned in, wrapping an arm around her waist, and pulling her close, he kissed her. Roman kissed her shoulder and slowly dropped first one strap of her negligee, then the other, allowing it to glide down her body. Perseus' breath caught. "Perfection," he whispered, as Roman said "exquisite" at the same time. They laid her down on a pallet of furs they had fashioned in front of the fireplace and quickly removed their clothes. She giggled at them as they danced around divesting articles of clothing. Taking their time, they pleasured her body, each having their own way of bringing her over the edge. They made love to her all night long, taking turns, initiating her and teaching her how to please them. She was an avid learner and wanted to know exactly what pleased them. In the early morning hours, they had made their way to the bedroom. Paulina snuggled between them as they all drifted off into a deep sleep. Perseus linked Roman. "Did you ever think, for 1 second, it could be like this?" Roman shook his head and told him, "Never. Not in a million years. The love I feel for her is all-consuming, like my soul has stitched together in a kaleidoscope of color." The morning found Paulina in the kitchen, fixing breakfast for her mates. Perseus was the first downstairs to greet her. "It's been a day, and already I don't like waking up without you beside me," she grinned, turning in his arms. "I wanted to surprise my men with breakfast in bed." She pours him coffee and grabs a cup down, for when Roman makes his appearance, she didn't have to wait long. He walked up behind her, grabbing her as in kissing her neck. "Don't leave us like that, we missed you." She hands him coffee and tells them both to sit. She dishes up their food and fixes herself a plate. As she starts to sit, Perseus pulls her into his lap, and Roman begins feeding her. She giggles at every forkful. They spend the next 2 days hiking, soaking in the hot tub, and playing. Their time was idyllic and magical. They talked for hours. The men had such a wonderful childhood, and she told them that's how she wants to raise their babies. At the word babies, Roman grabbed her and ran to the bedroom with her, Perseus telling her no time like now to get started, causing her to laugh. When it was time to head back to home, Paulina was sad, but they decided to come back every year on their anniversary and to spend Christmas there every year as a family.
Chapter 13. I dozed off again. Paulina's POV.
"We arrived home yesterday, and today I am heading to town. I want to check on my house and possibly pack everything I want to keep with me at home." Home. For the first time, I realize it's not a place, it's a feeling. My mates are my home. After boxing up my few things and packing most of my clothes, I head to the diner Bernie and Anna both hug me, and Ernie, the line cook, slaps my shoulder. They let me know they missed me, and I am reminded why I hired them again. I called Bernie into my office. Bernie, how would you feel about managing the diner for me? I will turn everything over, and you will be the boss. I, of course, will come in once a week or so, just to say hi and take care of whatever you need me to. She smiled and agreed immediately. You have made me so happy. This gives me focus, gives me purpose. Being without my mate has made it impossible for me to take pleasure in a lot of things. But I love working here. I hugged her and told her how proud I am of her. I walked out of the office just as I hear Anna screaming from the front of the house. I ran to reach her. 2 men stood holding her hostage, while a third was drawing his fist back to hit her again. Ernie darted forward with me, right behind him. I yelled, "Call the alphas, Burn, and do not come out of this office." I leaped over the front counter, charging the man hitting Anna. Ernie threw a meat cleaver at one of them, holding her. Catching him between the eyes, I ducked low, tackling the man from behind. We both went to the floor, and I popped back to my feet, squaring off. Ernie was struggling to fight the second man that had held Anna. I yelled, "Office, Anna, now!" and swung my fist into the chest of the man I had tackled. He staggered back, but didn't drop. I followed with a roundhouse to his jaw, knocking him out. Turning, I saw Ernie was down and bleeding from a wound on his head. I yelled, "Hey!" The guy's head swiveled my direction, growling. He charged at me. Before I had time to react, he hit me dead center, and we both went down. As I fell, I kneed him as hard as I could in the nuts and twisted my body. I didn't want the full brunt of his weight on top of me. His body curled into a fetal position. Proving my knee had done what I wanted, I squirmed and freed myself. Jumping to my feet, I spun out, and just as he was getting up on his knees, did a hatchet kick to the back of his neck. He dropped to the floor. The third man was waking up and getting to his feet, just as Perseus and Roman charged through the door. Perseus pulled me back and Roman punched the man in the head. 5 warriors rushed in. Perseus growled, "Get these shoals to the cells, and Luna's cook needs Doc." I whispered, "Anna does too." He turned me around and asked, "What about you?" I shrugged and tried taking a deep breath. I gasped and nodded. "Yeah, maybe me too. I may have 1 or 2 broken ribs. Ain't it funny how pain doesn't register until the adrenaline starts wearing off?" I walked to the office, where Bernice was putting ice on Anna's bruised face. I said, "Oh, honey, I am sorry. Let's go. You're going to get checked out by the doctor." "Bernie, draw up a sign that we are closed for the day. I want this place locked up and you safe." She nodded and got that done. Walking back out front, the men who attacked us were already gone, and Ernie was on a gurney that medics had brought in. One of them checked Anna's face, telling her she needed an X-ray of her cheek and jaw. Roman came over and gently picked me up. He carried Mento the truck and laid me in the back seat, while Perseus was already sitting there, laying my head in his lap. Roman started the truck, and we headed home. "One of the warriors will drive your Jeep home." I told him that was fine. Then Perseus asked, "What the fuck happened?" I responded, "I honestly don't know. Bernie and I were in the office, going over everything she has to do, now that she's agreed to manage the diner. Ernie was cooking. Anna was front of the house. She screamed, and we went running. 2 men were holding her still, while the third was beating on her. I tackled him and knocked him out. Ernie meat cleaved one of the guys holding Anna, and the second one knocked him out. He charged me, tackling me to the floor. I kneed him in the nuts. Then Hatchet kicked him in the neck. I hope I broke it. The fuker broke my ribs. Perseus chuckled. "It's not broken, but he's going to be out for a while. I mind-linked Roman, "Are you okay, baby?" He nodded, watching me in the mirror. Pissed. I am so fucking pissed. I want answers, and I want them now. Perseus calmly remarks, "Chill, brother. Once we know our love is going to be okay, you can play all you want." With the two who survived, Perseus carried me inside the infirmary. Even though I told him I was nearly healed, that didn't matter. Both my men want me to be checked. The doc ordered an MRI, and we were waiting for the results. I asked, "How are Ernie and Anna? Can someone find out? We really need to speak with Anna, as well as pull the camera footage from the diner." Roman's eyes glaze over, and so I know he's linking tech to get the footage. Perseus takes my hand and says, "Anna has a fractured cheekbone and Ernie has a fractured skull, but no sign of hemorrhaging. She will be okay in a couple hours or so. Ernie will have to stay overnight." I nod and feel my eyes drooping. Roman kisses my forehead and tells me to take a nap. The adrenaline drain will make me tired. I had just dozed when I heard the doc come in. She says, "Alphas. Luna has 1 broken rib and 2 fractured. They're already healing, so she can go home in an hour or so." Perseus asks, "Anything in particular we should know about her care?" She shakes her head. "Not really. There's not too much we can do for broken ribs anymore, except let them heal. She should take it easy a day or two, but I am sure she will bounce back in no time. Not her first rodeo. We counted 63 breaks in her bones, all over her body that have healed. They have to have been from childhood trauma, because a few aren't perfectly lined up." Roman roared, 63? Are you fucking kidding me? What kind of person does that?" I croaked out, my voice hoarse from sleep. "Alpha Brennan. He either did, or his minions. Some of the pack bullies in school. I was a really popular kid, and I tried to chuckle." Perseus whispered, "Why, baby?" I shrugged and said, "Because I have a smart mouth, a bad attitude, a temper. He didn't need a reason." Roman mutters, "I am going to kill that man. Slowly, after I break every bone in his body." I dozed off again.
Chapter 14. You Really Do Stink. Roman's POV.
I saw that son of a bitch charging Paulina, and Bo went apeshit. He was lucky. For now, I will kill him. Slowly. There will be no man left alive who ever causes her harm. Brandon and I are here in Anna's room. While Perse stays with our baby girl, Anna looks nervous, and I smile at her. "Anna, my Luna is very fond of you. That means we are fond of you. So don't be nervous, okay?" She nods and says, "Is she okay? Did they hurt her?" She leaped that counter like some kind of avenging angel and saved me. She saved me. No one ever cared enough to do anything like that for me before. I grinned. She's going to be okay. A few broken ribs, but she's had broken bones before. What can you tell me about what happened? She sat up straighter in her bed. It was strange. I noticed them pacing around outside. It looked like they were arguing. Oh, you know what? I think there were 5 altogether. They walked away, so I didn't think anything of it. I went back to filling salt and pepper shakers and napkin dispensers. The doorbell dinged, and before I could even turn around completely, I was grabbed. She started to cry, so I just waited until she could come to terms with her fear. I kept patting her hand, whispering she is safe now. Brandon handed her a tissue, and she blew her nose. Once she was back in control, she apologized. I shook my head. "You have nothing to apologize for. You have been through something traumatic." She smiles. "Luna is a badass. She didn't hesitate. That big guy punched me. Twice. Then he kept screaming about an all-bright girl, and I tried telling him I didn't know what he was talking about. I mean, what the fuck is an all-bright girl?" Before he could punch me again, Luna tackled him. and she yelled at me to get in the office. I didn't need to be told twice. I gritted my teeth and asked, might he have been asking about an Albright? An Albright girl? Anna shrugged and said, still means nothing to me. I don't know any Albrights either. I smiled at her and told her, you did good, Anna. Your scream saved your life. Luna came and helped you as soon as she heard it. And Ernie throws a mean cleaver, she giggled, and says, yeah, that was cool. Brandon linked already have trackers heading out to pick up scent. We will find the other two. I linked back. To him and Perseus, I want them in the cells by nightfall. I thanked Anna and went to check on Ernie before going back to Paulina. I walked in and I realized she was awake. Perseus told me he had called Mom and Dad. Paulina asked, can we go home? I'm starving. I grinned and said, let me find Doc and have her sign your discharge papers. Perseus was helping her dress when I made it back. Our poor princess is sore, finding it difficult to lift her arm. I lean in for a quick kiss and think to myself I am getting quite addicted to her kisses. We made it home shortly before dinner, and we went straight to the dining hall. She was walking slowly, favoring her left side. We got seated, and Walt, our head warrior, asked, Luna, are you all right? Perseus stood and said, attention, please. I need everyone to be alert. The diner in town was attacked today by unknowns, and at this point, trackers are on the hunt. 3 people were injured, your Luna included. We felt care and support flood the pack bond. Then a snarky, too bad they didn't kill her, was heard. I growled, Felicia, you will report to Alpha's office immediately after dinner. By that time, the king and queen will have arrived. We ate in relative silence, Pers and I taking turns feeding Paulina, with her giggling intermittently. She's just so freaking cute. I whispered, I love you. You, my love, are adorable. And she blushed beautifully. After dinner, we went to the office, waiting on Mom and Dad. Paulina said, I will put Felicia in her place. She is not going to make snarky comments and think it is okay. I am truly fed up with this day. Perseus lifted her into his lap, kissed her forehead, and told her, you are Luna, my amour. You start out as you wish to go on. We support you in every way. Brandon walked in and sat down. You have to teach me that hatchet kick, Luna. The rogue is still unconscious. The other one, not so much. I have watched the video from the diner. Have y'all seen it? I shook my head and said, bring it up. Was anything seen in front of the diner before they entered? He said, not clearly, but I pulled the video from the bank across the street. And Anna is right. In the fact, there was 5 in front of the diner. However, I believe there were more than that. Just not in town. There's maybe 10 distinctive scents. Luna, did you recognize any of the scents in the diner? Paulina shook her head, asked, why? Should I have? Perseus said, baby, they were looking for you. They told Anna to tell them where the Albright girl is. She gasped, that bastard. Brennan's found where I am then. He's in for a surprise. I'm not that malnourished, frail orphan he made of me. I hear my mother in the hall, outside the door. You will most certainly wait. Who the fuck do you think you are? You will be called when my sons, your alphas, summon you. Now, sit your ass in that chair until that happens. And for goddess' sake, keep your legs closed, you fucking stink. And she waltzed through the door, like the queen she is, saying, oh, my poor baby girl, are you okay? As she laid hands on her ribs, healing her. Perseus and I both facepalm while Brandon cracks up. Dad grins. She's been fretting since we heard Paulina was hurt. Apparently, I don't drive fast enough, or pay attention to the road, or take the proper shortcuts, or listen to my wife. I am also too poor to pay attention, Just so you know. Brandon cracked up, saying, "Is it wrong that I actually heard him say all that in Aunt Rennie's voice?" Making purrs, and I join in his laughter. Perseus remarked, "Let's get this Felicia situation over with. Before we get down to what we know." I nodded and linked Mateo to bring Felicia in. As he opened the door and Felicia stormed in, Paulina gasped, "Dear goddess, Mom is right. You really do stink. You should consider douching with Listerine. Or some minty mouthwash. Damn."
Chapter 15. With this family. Paulina's POV.
I watch Felicia carefully as she takes her seat. I wait, letting her get comfortable. Then I say, "I am going to allow you this one time only to vent. Get everything off your chest. Take note of what I just said. I am allowing it. Once you are done, know that there will never be a second chance for you to get this shit out of your system. I am your Luna. I am the future queen. Never again, after this moment, will you be allowed to speak against me. I will execute you myself for treason. You have 10 minutes. She glared at me, then whined Romy, and I snapped, "Do not speak to my mate. I am allowing this, not my mate's." She glared again, and I smirked. "TikTok, bitch," she snapped. "You are a nobody. You come in here, acting all high and mighty. A pathetic orphan, nobody wanted. All boohoo poor me, and take my man. You are nothing, worthless. The king made Roman reject me. He wants to be with me. He loves me. Why would he want you? Look at you. Nobody wants you. Even your own parents threw you away. You may have him for now. But mark my words, he will come back to me. To my bed, they always do." I asked, "Are you done?" She screamed, "Fuck you, you bitch." I nodded and said, "Ever watched Charlie Brown? Remember his teacher? Or his mom? When they talked, all he ever heard was wah wah wah. Yeah, that's what comes out of your mouth. Now, you had better start seriously talking. Who do you know? Or who are you related to? In the Orange River Pack, you gave yourself away. As soon as you said they should have killed me. And again, just now, when you talked about me being an orphan. When you called me nothing. Worthless. Pathetic. Those are all things I heard growing up. The only people who knew that are the people in this room. So, tell me, Felicia, who did you tell I am here?" She sat quietly, fuming, and staring at Roman, who had lifted me into his lap and buried his face in my neck. Scenting me to stay calm, I yelled, "Speak, or I will snap your neck right the fuck now for treason." Now I smell it. Fear, and I grin. Still, she didn't speak. She knew she fuked up. I looked over at Renata and said, "Mom, do that thing you do?" She grinned at me and said, "With pleasure, my daughter." Within minutes, Felicia was coughing and choking. A bubble would pop out of her mouth every few seconds. I grinned. I looked at Renata and told her, "That's handy." And she smiles at me so sweetly. I watched Felicia trying to breathe, and I spoke calmly, "Would you like to tell me now, or continue to drown on your own saliva? It is your choice." Nasty way to commit suicide, but I must confess, I am eager to watch you die. She started nodding frantically, and I nodded at Renata. Seconds later, Felicia was gasping, lungs full of dry air. Catching her breath, she said, "Alpha Brennan is my mother's cousin." I said, "Do tell, which one of you called him? And what the fuck were you thinking? You had to have known the risks. And don't play now. I expect the truth. Perseus, my love, would you be so kind as to command this bitch to spill her guts?" He grinned at me and murmured, "With absolute pleasure, my amour." He looked at Brandon, telling him to bring her parents to the office. Then we sat, talking with his parents, until her parents joined us. As they sat, Perseus commanded them to speak the truth. Felicia started speaking. My mom told me the only way I could get Roman back was to get rid of you. Edgar had contacted her months ago about looking for you, telling her to let him know if you ever showed up at our pack, that you are a runaway slave, and owe him over 100 grand. A slave? A slave is going to be queen? No fucking way. So, when you actually showed up here last month, I called him. He only wants his money. I smiled. I see. And your mother gave you the number to call? Or did you look it up? I mean, she had already suggested you get rid of me. You know what that's called? Aiding and abetting a crime. Is treason a family characteristic? Is your father complicit? She said, Dad doesn't know anything. Mom didn't know I called Edgar. She just said the only way was to get rid of you. I muttered, I see. You're shameful. A blight on werewolves everywhere. Mother Moon must be so ashamed of you. Should we ask her? Renata looked at me and asked, Has Maisie shown you your gifts? I nodded and grinned when the guys marked me. Mother Moon came to me and showed me. She told me to keep it to myself until I needed it. I think I need it right now. It's Judgment Day. I put my forehead down on Roman's shoulder, let me body go limp, and called for Selene. My skin began to tingle and heat up. My blonde hair began to shine and glow like the aura of the moon. My eyes burned, and when I sat back up, my eyes glowed with swirling stars and moonlight, resembling a galaxy. My consciousness slipped back, and I was filled with her presence. Selene stood and walked over to Felicia's father, Chris, and pulled his wolf forward. She spoke in an ethereal voice, Samson, are you a traitor to your people? He answered, No, mother. Neither is my human. She nodded. Then she stepped in front of the mother, Gloria. Eileen, are you a traitor to your people? She said, No, but my human skin is. Selene asks, Do you wish to be reborn? Eileen nodded. We watched as Selene pulled the wolf soul out of Gloria, sending her back to the moon's realm. Gloria crumpled on the floor dead. She turned to Chris, saying, Your second chance is waiting for you. Go to the kitchen. You will find her. The man ran out of the room. She turned to Felicia and said, Felicity, I had such hopes for you this incarnation. You promised you'd changed. You lied. I send you home now to wander the dark side of the moon for eternity. And she drew the wolf from Felicia. We watched as her spirit whisked away like Eileen's did. Felicia was screaming in agony, and Selene struck her dead with an electric jolt. I watched all this happen from deep inside my head. Macy wrapped around my feet. She turned to Perseus and Roman. Take care of my human vessel. You will have need of me. Then she kissed Renata and vacated my body. I collapsed to the floor, but not before I heard Brandon say, That is the freakiest shit I have ever seen. And Goddess knows we have seen some freaky shit with this family. Everyone laughed as Roman lifted me back into his lap.
Chapter 16. Damn, she's feisty. Persis POV.
Roman had just gotten back from laying Paulina down. Apparently, hosting the body of the goddess is exhausting business. Mom says, That was fun, right? It's odd seeing Mother Moon in Paulina's form. But normals can't see her otherwise. Not for more than a few seconds. Things just got so exciting. I'm so happy, boys. Your mate is a special little thing. Are we going to visit this Alpha Brennan? Can we go, Orion? I seriously have a bone to pick with that prick. He really hurt our daughter. We can't let that stand. Maybe we should go talk to those Asholes y'all have in the cells. Yeah, let's go do that. Come on, boys. Now see? My beautiful mate is exhausted from a goddess popping into her body. But damn, my mother exhausts me. How in the hell does that woman have so many thoughts in her head? Good goddess. Dad laughs. That's why it happens. Her brain overloads with thoughts until they all escape at once. It's funny, and one of the things I love most about her. Brandon says, Yeah, I need a nap. Damn, We laugh, and then Roman asks, "Are we following Mom?" I mean, she's probably halfway to the cells about now. Dad runs out the door muttering, "Oh shit." We catch up with her just as she enters the cells. She grins and says, "Hello, boys. We need some answers. Let's go have some fun." Dad shakes his head. "I should have had Aaron come with us. He can usually rope her back in," causing us all to laugh again. Both men are awake now, doing the blustering bullshit. "Release us. Our alpha will start a war with you. He expects us back soon." He paid Felicia a pretty penny for us to bring that Albright girl back with us. I said, "That Albright girl doesn't exist. I'm afraid Alpha Brennan sent you on a wild goose chase." He looks confused and says, "Who's Alpha Brennan? Why would we be chasing a girl for him? Our alpha is Jack Black, and he paid over 100 grand to Felicia for that girl. She has to come back with us." I'm confused as fuck. I haven't ever heard of a Jack Black. And what the fuck? Why, wait. I looked at Roman. "Didn't she say she ran because he was selling her?" Roman nods and asks, "What pack are you with?" The man realized he probably said too much and wouldn't talk now. Mom said, "Come on. Why stop telling all your secrets now? I mean, you were on a roll." He shrugged. "We were just told where to find her and to bring her back to our pack. Alpha Black paid the Orange River Alpha $500,000 for her a couple years back. Something about her being blessed. He's going to breed her to his kid for a strong heir. The kid is a weak man, and Alpha knows he won't breed good stock. We've been hunting her for 2 years." I snarled, "What's the name of your pack? I know it's not on register. I have never heard of this guy. What's your name?" He mutters, "Eddie Nolan, and our pack is Straw Meadow, in Missouri. We've been there for maybe 15 years. Alpha Black been our alpha since then. My dad told me he got to be an alpha when he killed some alpha named Green. With Alpha Brennan. We was going to take over the pack in Colorado. Mountain something. But Brennan said he couldn't. Something about too many questions would be asked. He took the pack money and built our pack. Black was a rogue up to then." Roman said, "You're no fun to interrogate. You just talk. Like the sound of your own voice, do ya?" Eddie smirks. "Don't matter none. Ain't y'all gonna kill me anyway? Who was that little wisp of nothing that beat fuck out of me?" I grinned. "That, my friend, was the girl you came hunting. She's not to be trifled with. She happens to be our mate, and as such, is the future queen." He laughs and retorts, "Well, I will be damned. Got my ass beat by a queen. Alpha tells our pack there ain't no king. He's very strict about it. No outside influence in the pack. We live the old ways. No television. No technology of any kind, really, except his office. I hear he's got that place rigged like Fort Knox." Mom said, "If there was a way for you to survive this, would you be willing to share everything you know about the pack? Would you swear fealty to our pack?" Eddie shrugs. "Sure. I mean, I don't care. The alpha is always trying to command me, but it never takes. Not sure why, but I ain't got no loyalty to him. He just sends me out to do his dirty work and pays me good for it." I asked, "What about your buddy over there? Would he be interested?" Eddie laughs. "Dude ain't got a lick of brains. He just does what he does for the money. Ain't loyal to anyone but himself. Otis is all about himself. I was rogue a couple years before I joined Black. I wanted pack structure. Got banished for spitting on my old beta for slapping a girl in our pack. Alpha didn't like my disrespect. Told him I ain't gonna respect any fool who slaps a kid. I told him, funny, you didn't have a problem punching Anna or breaking my Luna's ribs. How do you differ? He, at least, has the decency to look embarrassed. Then he says, It's a job. I needed to bring the Albright girl back to Straw Meadow. Or die. That's what happens if we fail. Roman smirks. You picked the wrong pack to fuck with? Have you not heard about Dark Shadow? We are a pack of hellhounds after all. Eddie went completely pale and whispered, Fuck me. I'm a dead man. Didn't nobody tell us any of that? I told him, don't sweat it. Lacking technology. Maybe Black didn't know. I doubt it. But I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. The door to the cells opened and Paulina storms in. I pulled her to me and whispered, After the goddess left, you paced out, baby? Your body needed to recover. Was that the first time she's done that? She nodded and turned. Facing Eddie, I introduced them, and she smirked. Not so tough now, are you? He grinned and said, Yeah, sorry about all that. It's just a job. She snapped. A job? Hurting Anna? Fracturing Ernie's skull? Just a job? Well, your boss is in a shoal, and you better find something else to do for work, fucking prick. And she stormed back out, leaving all of us to chuckle at her temper. That actually could have gone a lot worse. Eddie grins at us and says, Damn, she's feisty, making us laugh.
Chapter 17, Hell is Coming. Paulina's POV.
I am researching packs. There is nothing, in any book, or in the computer registry of packs. There was an alpha several hundred years ago, last name Black, but he was Canadian, and died without an heir. His pack was handed over to a distant relative named McIntosh, whose family is still in command. Nothing on a Straw Meadow pack either. Roman comes in and kaises me. My love, you've been in here since breakfast. We miss you. I smiled and said, Just a little longer, baby. I am trying to find anything on this Jack Black, but there's just nothing. It's frustrating. He grins at me. You are tenacious as a bulldog with a bone, baby girl. Want some help? I nodded and asked, Please? Just the company you give will keep it from being so tedious. What is Perseus doing? He smiles and said, I left him in the cells. That Otis guy has been difficult, and Pers is loving it. He gets to release some of the anger at you being injured. Shaking my head, I said, I wouldn't have minded a go at that guy. He hurt Ernie. Roman lifted me into his lap and whispered, You're not alone anymore. Baby, you have two very strong, extremely mean wolves who love you. We will never let anyone who causes you pain get away with it. That's who we are. It's what we do. I love you so much. I smiled at him. I adore that I can feel the truth of your words through the bond. It makes it that much easier to love you more. I went back to researching, deciding to take on Brennan and Orange River. Maybe his history will backtrack to Black. Some kind of information has to be out there. Brandon came in to join us. Perseus broke his new toy. That boy does not play well with others, I laughed. His face looked so disgruntled, it was comical. Did you not get the opportunity to play with a toy? He shakes his head and replies, No, he hit it so hard, the head fell off. Roman lost it. Then said, Yeah, it happens. Perseus walked in, hair damp from his shower. I smiled as he kized me. Get a little rough with your toy, my love. He grunted at me and replied, Stupid bastard. I did find out Alpha Black was a rogue, hired by Brennan, so it's a starting point. I nodded and got excited. It's a great starting point. That means Brennan was the one who instigated the attack that wiped out my pack. Black was an employee, more or less. The irony is Brennan apparently wanted me from the jump. But then, I don't know, sold me to Black, who used my pack's own money to pay for me. To what purpose? And legally, the pack's money would have been my inheritance. So does that mean I bought myself? Brandon said, What? Your mind scares the shit out of me. Black paid Brennan for you with your own money? And if Brennan wanted you from the get-go, why would he sell you back to the rogue alpha? I shrugged and responded, maybe because I had convinced Brennan I was null. He never knew when I shifted into Macy. She hid her scent, and whenever he would beat me, I wouldn't let her heal me. Roman growled low, "That man will die a slow, painful death. When did you shift the first time?" I thought about it for a minute. It must have been on my 12th actual birthday, because my found-on day was 2 months after that. Brandon remarks, "That's young. You shifted alone, without an alpha to coax Macy?" I nodded. Perseus whispered, "I am so sorry you went through that, baby." Romeo was pacing. Bo was angry and Perseus looked over at him, telling him, "Let Bo run, brother. He needs to kill something. Why don't you and Brandon hunt?" They left through the back door and shifted as soon as their feet hit the ground. Perseus smiled at me. Roman's the one with the anger issues, so it helps to let Bo release some tension. Mom wants to go annihilate Brennan's pack right now, so Dad is talking her off the ledge. I just need you. You calm me down? I love you, beautiful. My heart melted. I am always amazed at the difference between my mates. Perseus is level-headed, calm, but deadly, and Roman is loving, aggressive and deadly. I love everything about them. I climb into Per's lap and nuzzle his neck. "I love you," and kissed him. He growled into my mouth, and it was the easiest sound in the world. Perseus' eyes glaze, indicating a mind link. His face gets grim. "We have to go, baby. The town is under attack." We ran out the doors, shifting before our paws hit the ground. Racing towards town, the air reeked of smoke. As we neared, we could hear the screams of our people, the sounds of battle. I ran towards the center of town. I had to make sure Ernie and my girls were safe. My heart ached as I could feel bonds of our people snapping. Perseus ran for the school, while Brandon stayed with me. As I rounded a bend in the street, I saw the diner engulfed in flame. Ernie and Anna fending off a wolf, protecting Bernie, and Macy lost it. She lunged for the wolf, ripping his head off. I nudged Ernie, linking him to keep our girls safe. As I spun on another wolf trying to sneak up on them from the side, I leaped on him, snapping his spine. Brandon was circled by 5 wolves as I leaped into the middle of them, soaring over the back of one wolf, digging my claws into his shoulder as I did. Brandon and I stood back to back, fighting them off, until we had killed all 5. A mind link came through from Perseus' sound off, and we heard the names of the survivors, sounding in our heads. The battle was over, but we scrambled to get fires out. Renata was gathering the injured, healing them. I ran to help, after making sure my 3 were okay. We hear Orion, through the link 2 enemy survivors. "Need medics." I ran his direction. Once they were stabilized, he ordered them taken to the cells. Roman walked over to us, covered in blood and soot. I immediately checked him over, nearly panicking. He whispered, "It's not my blood, baby." Once we had the fires out, all 3 of us stood in the center of town square, and Perseus addressed our pack. "We lost 7 good people this day. Families, prepare your loved ones. Tonight we send them home to our goddess. You have our deepest gratitude for their bravery and sacrifice. Rest easy in the assurance we will avenge their deaths. Go home, prepare the funeral pyres." My heart broke. The pain and guilt I feel rolling off my mates compounding the grief, fueling my anger, my need for revenge. Whoever initiated this attack, wherever they are, better prepare. Hell is coming.
Chapter 18, He Will Pay. Perseus's POV.
We cleaned up as best we could and headed to my office. The 6 of us are trying to understand what happened. I am angry and anxious. Those 50 wolves rolled up on our town with little to no warning. We have 2 prisoners and 10 of their dead. The majority fled when they realized there was no winning. Dad said, "We got caught with our pants down. How the fuck did they get to us in such a massive group?" I glared at him. From what I can ascertain, they had camped on the human side of the town, to the south, waited until everyone was ensconced in their places of study or employment, then split up, coming in groups of 2 or 3. Brandon said, "As soon as the techies are finished sifting through our videos, we will have a better idea. Then we can plan our retaliation. The only building that is a total loss is Luna's diner." Her breath caught on a sob, and I lifted her in my lap. She whispered, "I need it rebuilt as soon as possible." That was Sadie's legacy. She entrusted it to me. I let her down. Roman rubbed her back. "No, baby, no. You did not let her down. The Asholes targeted the diner. They targeted you. My best bet. The 3 that attacked the diner before alerted the other 5 that were with them that you had been found, and the attack was pivoted around getting to you." Renata looked at me. "Let's go, Purs. We are talking to the land. I want answers. And the earth knows. Roman, take care of our girl. Her heart is hurting." Dad looked at Brandon. "As soon as your father arrives, the 3 of us are going to play with our new toys. At this point, I don't even give a fuck if they talk. I just want them to hurt." Mom said, "Don't kill them yet. I want some fun too." We all went our separate ways. Mom and I ran to the south side of town, healing the earth as we went. When we arrived at the location of the camp, we both sat cross-legged facing each other. Closing our eyes, we dug our fingers into the soil and listened to the earth. Mom whispered, "Do you hear that?" I nodded and said, "They were on a scouting mission, testing our defenses. I am not going to sit and wait for another attack, Mom. I am taking the fight to them. I have to say goodbye to 7 of our people tonight. Peaceful people, not warriors. It's one thing to die in battle, doing what you're trained to do. Quite another to expect to be safe. I failed them." She slapped me in the head. She slapped me in the head. "Young man, how dare you allow your guilt to detract from their sacrifice? They died defending their homes, their businesses. They are wolves, with full understanding they could die, but chose to protect our way of life anyway. You did not fail them. Allow them to know their deaths are not in vain." I am humbled by her words. I got back and Dad called us to the office. Abraham was sitting in the office and said, "I have found a few interesting things we need to discuss with all of you." And I sat, pulling Paulina into my lap, kissing her forehead. Roman sat on my right. He looks at Paulina and asks, "Has Maisie released all your memories yet?" She nodded and told him she believed so. Grandpa asked her to tell him what has been shown to her. She whispers to Roman and me, "Please, stay calm. This will upset you." She looks at everyone in the office and begins, "After I climbed out of my hammock, I walked into our house. It was a mess, blood everywhere. I went to my parents' room and laid in their bed. I was crying. The wind was howling. It was pouring rain. I don't know how long I laid there. Hours, I think. Just before dark, thundering footsteps ran up the stairs. The bedroom door slammed open and Brennan stood there. He roared, "There you are, you little bitch." Grabbing me by my hair, he yanked me down the stairs and threw me in the back of a truck. We reached his pack house, and he ordered me locked in the cells. I was there for days, maybe a month. No food, no water. The guards would sometimes come by to spit on me, urinate on me once or twice. Eventually, I was dragged out and taken to the Alpha's office. He told me that the day was considered my birthday, since he wasn't going to kill me. He told me I was a slave, that my parents owed him, and I was to be a slave until their debt was paid. Then I was locked in a closet with only my blanket. Every morning I was dragged out to scrub floors, do laundry. I was made to sit on the floor at Brennan's feet at mealtime. They would throw scraps of food at me, sometimes just bones, from whatever meat they had eaten. I was beaten. For whatever reason, stealing a slice of bread, drinking water from a faucet in the laundry room, always being told he would beat the goddess out of me. For 8 years, that was my daily routine. On my 12th birthday, I shifted into Macy, in my little closet. After that, my resolve strengthened. My determination was born. It was also the last day I was beaten so badly. After that, it was almost like Brennan was frightened of me. Oh, he would still slap me from time to time, but mostly he just belittled me, called me names. Macy taught me what I could do, and I trained. I watched the warriors and would mimic their moves. I took books from the library and learned. I taught myself. On my 16th birthday, I was cooking dinner and Brennan came in to tell me he was selling me. And that night, I ran away. That's how I ended up here, and Sadie found me. She put me in school, showed me what it felt like to be loved. Macy taught me how to hide my scent, and told me I had to go through what we went through to prepare me for my purpose. I held her close to me, and Ace was growling low in my chest. Our poor angel. Our mate has gone through more in her short life than most people have ever endured in the entirety of theirs. Roman linked me that piece of shit is going to die a very slow, painful death, and I nodded. Grandpa said, "Your parents owed Brennan nothing. They barely knew him. He had gone to your parents, asking for an alliance and a loan to build his pack. The money was used to pay rogues to attack your pack. Abraham told us Jack Black was born a rogue. Brennan had hired him to help him take over smaller packs, in which they would kill the alpha families and force the packs to submit or die. Brennan is Gamma born. Black isn't even Delta rank, which is why his alpha command doesn't work. He rules by fear. He surrounds himself with ruthless killers as his bodyguards. They are paid to kill anyone who disobeys him. Essentially, Brennan and Black are like-minded individuals who are incapable of ruling without using torture and death as a means to have followers. Dad says, we don't have an exact location of Black's pack yet, but we know where Brennan is. Tomorrow, we take him down, Paulina said. I am going with you. It is my right to kill him. I just want it to be slow, I whispered. He will pay, baby girl.
Chapter 19. The Whole Pack. It is. Third person.
Paulina was slipping into a black maxi dress when her mates walked in, dressed in black slacks and white button-downs. Roman walked over and zipped her dress without being asked. Kissing her temple, he asked, "Are you doing okay, my amor? I checked on you earlier, and you were resting." She nodded, telling him, "I had a slight bout of nausea, so I laid down to ease it. I think reliving those stupid memories didn't sit well." Perseus walks over, leaning to kiss her shoulder. He said, "I can only imagine, love. They definitely didn't sit well with us, and we didn't live it. He will regret everything he's ever done, I promise you." The three walked downstairs and out to the clearing, where the funeral pyres were constructed, waiting to be ignited. The pack had all assembled, while the king and queen sat upon the stage. Perseus and Roman walked Paulina up the stairs and seated her between their parents. Perseus stepped to the microphone. With Roman beside him, he began to speak, "Dark Shadow. We stand before you this evening with heavy hearts. As alphas, each pack member's bond is attached to our souls. When those bonds break, we share your grief. Today, we were attacked. A sneaky, underhanded attack that robbed us of the lives of 7 of our family. It will not go unanswered. It will be avenged. We stand together. We fight together. I will ask the families of our fallen to step forward and speak. Thank you, all of you." He stepped back and Roman stood to the left of him, each on either side of their Luna, as the families took turns delivering the eulogies of their loved ones. The pyres were lit, and Renata had taken Paulina's hand to walk past each fallen pack member. As her hair began to glow, her eyes shining, at each one she stopped, summoning the spirit of the wolf who resided in them. The wolf spirit bowed to her, then walked to its family, in turn, nuzzling their mother, father, their mates and children. Once their goodbyes had been said, the wolf spirit would turn, leaping into the air as everyone watched them run towards the moon. Paulina turned to the crowd, and in the voice of the goddess, told them, "Let your hearts be at peace, my children. Your loved ones will be taken care of and will live again." With that, she left. Paulina went straight to Roman, and he lifted her. Walking over to the table, sat down with her, so she could rest. When he looked to find Perseus, what he actually found was every single member of their pack, on their knee, pledging undying fealty to their Luna. She whispered, "Tell them the goddess wants them to know she has not forsaken them. She can't interfere with the fate of her people." She fell asleep long enough to restore her energy. Orion and Perseus stood to the side. He said, "That is one special little girl Selene has blessed our family with. Your mother and I always knew your mate would be unique, strong, fearless. But Polly, she is more than we could have ever imagined. She has been through so much, yet remained pure, loving, gentle." Perseus smiles. "She is definitely everything I could have wished for. The goddess allowing the wolves to say goodbye to their families has united our pack in a way I couldn't have imagined." Did you feel the peace and comfort wash over the entire territory as their spirits appeared? Renata stepped to them and told them, "I know, we all felt it. Even the earth sighed. I adore that girl. Now, let's talk grandbabies. I really want little ones to cuddle. Can you imagine how adorable the babies you make will be? A little girl with Paulina's cute perky nose and big blue eyes and your coloring? Or a boy with her hair color and your eyes? Oh my goddess, I really need baby cuddles. You boys need to get busy. I want babies to love on, running around, getting into trouble, chasing after them. I can't wait to be a nana, and dad can be papa. We can take them for overnights, or weekends, vacations. We can take them on trips. Disney World, while they are little. Paris, when they're older. Oh, get busy, son. I really need those babies." As she walked away to speak with Evelyn, Orion chuckled. "Looks like she's got baby fever in her head now. Good luck getting her to let up now." Paulina had woken up, and she and Roman walked over. Perseus pulled her in close and kissed her as she asked, "What are y'all talking about?" Orion said, "Renata wants babies, and I fear she's off on a tangent." Roman laughed. "Great. That will be heard every day until she's satisfied it's actually happening." Orion nods. "Yep, good luck." The next morning, after breakfast, everyone gathered in the office. Perseus says, "I postponed the trip to Orange River until tomorrow. I wanted to allow the pack a day of mourning and to spend time with their families. Roman, can you and Brandon decide which group of warriors to prepare? I would like to have them departing by midnight. They should be in place around Brennan's pack by the time we arrive." Orion said, "Decent plan. We charge the gates with 20 warriors accompanying us. Our outlying warriors can prevent any deserters from leaving." "Paulina, what can you tell us about the pack members?" She sighed. "Not a lot, actually. I can't recall anyone who didn't bully me. Most of the ones I came in contact with thought it was fine to slap, punch, even bite me. They would throw food, drinks, rocks, whatever at me. I honestly can't recall one redeeming quality in any of them. But it wasn't just me they bullied. There are no Omegas, only slaves, maybe 20 of them. Charles asked. You said most? Was there anyone who helped you? I only ask because my instinct is to wipe out the entire pack. But if we should save them, we need to know. She smiles. I have no doubt most were following orders, but some did it out of malicious intent. They enjoyed it. Brennan seems to only recruit like-minded wolves. He slaps his knee. The whole pack it is.
Chapter 20, Nonetheless, Paulina's POV.
By daylight, we were ready to pull out. I asked Roman. Macy ran 4 days. How long will it take us to reach Orange River? He grinned at her and explained, Baby girl Macy, more or less, ran around in circles, a day or two. Technically, we are only about 6 hours away. We will arrive before lunchtime. How can that be? I asked Macy. She simply shrugged. What do you want from me? It was my first time. I was allowed out, so I ran. I admit, my tail fascinated me a few times, so I took the time to chase it. I may have, possibly, maybe, backtracked over my own trail, not sure, but it's possible. Coming out of several spins may have messed with my sense of direction. So sue me, I giggled, and at my mate's looks, I explained what Macy told me. Dad chuckled and responded, Yeah, I can see that happening. Adorable, I replied. Macy's a lot like me. We tend to lose focus if left to our own devices for too long, causing everyone to laugh again. We stopped for breakfast at a little diner in a cute little hamlet as we left the mountains behind us. I was feeling a little nauseous and asked Mom if she knew of anything that might settle my stomach some. She put her hand on my stomach to pull some of it away. When she did, she squealed, loud, and I jumped. Everyone looked at us as she apologizes and grabbed my hand, pulling me to the restroom. Once inside, she excitedly said, You got babies. Wait, what? I gasped and asked, I got babies? What? I'm pregnant? Is that what you're saying? She nods her head vigorously, bouncing on her feet and clapping her hands. Squealing, she sings, I'm gonna be a nana. I'm gonna be the best nana. Oh my goddess, I need to go shopping. They need everything brand new. I'm going to decorate the nursery in the castle for when they spend the night. Maybe a beautiful light green or yellow. Maybe I can help you with decorating the nursery at the pack house. I have so many ideas. Can I tell Dad? I don't want to tell the boys. That's a special moment just for you. Want me to help you plan a romantic way to let them know? We can go shopping as soon as we are home, if you want to wait. I don't know. I can't wait. I have to tell Orion, though. He always knows when I am excited. Oh, thank you. Thank you for being my daughter. Thank you for making me complete. I am a mate, a wife, a mother. But being a grandmother makes me whole. I love you, Paulina. You are goddess sent. And I am exhausted. How does she do that? Ugh. Once we were back on the road again, Roman kept glancing at me, and I finally asked him why. He smiled and told me, Nothing. I just like looking at you. You are the love of my life, and the most beautiful woman I have ever seen. I smiled and snuggled into him. We pulled up to the gates of Orange River, and Orion said, Tell Alpha Brennan the king is here. I asked Perseus, That's it? That's all he has to say, and he's welcomed in? Brennan absolutely hates visitors. No one ever visits unless he is hosting an event. He laughed and said, Brennan has the right to say no. Of course. But regardless, we are coming in. We are the hounds of hell, my love. Who's going to stop us? Ah, good point, the guard said. The Alpha has given permission for your entry. He asks you do not deviate from the main road and follow it directly to the main house. As we pulled away, Orion snarled, He gives us permission? Don't deviate? He thinks to order me? Renata laughed. Calm down, my love. Save that righteous anger for the douchebag on the hill. Perseus tells him. The hounds are in place and have surrounded the pack, ready to move on your go. Orion nodded just as we topped the hill and saw the pack house. I cringed. Seeing Brennan standing on the front stoop, Roman hugged me to him. We got you, princess. No one will ever hurt you again. We departed the vehicles and Dad and Mom stood in front of me, with my mates on either side. Brenna stepped forward and bowed, with a smarmy grin on his face. Your Majesties, this is indeed a great honor. To what do I owe the pleasure? The king snarled and said, Cut the shit, Brennan. Dark Shadow was attacked yesterday, leaving 5 dead. I am aware you know of it. How much you know is to be determined. How many of this pack survive this day? Up to you. Let's go sit down and have a little chat, shall we? He turned, and all of us started to follow him in, when Perseus growled, Best tell your fucking warriors to stand the fuck down. I will end you. Right here, right now, in front of them. I took his hand in mine, interlacing our fingers, and he squeezed them, smiling at me. Brennan ordered them to step off, and we continued to his office. He hadn't looked my way, and I wasn't calling attention to myself. Yet, I have a bone to pick, but I can bide my time. Brennan offered seats, and Roman and Perseus sat directly in front of his desk. His beta entered, and Renata sat on the far side of me, while Orion sat on the other, obstructing their view of me. Brennan began to speak. Your Highness, I don't know what you expect me to say. And Orion interrupted him. It's not me you have to answer to. My sons are now alphas of Dark Shadow. I am just the king, an interested party, nonetheless.
Chapter 21. Who goes with him? Perseus POV.
Brennan, let's just cut to the chase, shall we? Our town was attacked. Brutally. Innocent people died. $1 million in damages to homes and businesses. That can be fixed. Lives cannot be recovered. 2 of the attackers survived. They're awaiting rescue, by the way. About 20 cowards ran away. Now, it's your turn. Tell me what I want to know. He sputtered. Surely, you don't think I had anything to do with that? I have never set foot on Dark Shadow territory in my life. Roman said, Oh, we think you had a lot to do with it. You and your buddy, Jack Black. What we don't know is why you didn't let him take over Mountain Trail Pack House after you wiped out the entire pack. And yes, we know for a fact it was you and your buddy. He started to sweat and kept glancing over my shoulder at his beta, who was leaned against the door behind Rome and me. I smirked. Are you seriously considering it? Do you honestly believe your beta could take me before I snapped his neck? Best have him step around in our line of sight, or I will perceive it a threat. Then, I said, Dark Shadow notwithstanding, tell us about Mountain Trail. Brennan said, Mountain Trail was a known enemy. They had run attacks on us. What we did was totally justified. We were avenging our fallen comrades. I snarled, Bullshit? Absolute fucking bullshit. Mountain Trail was a peaceful pack from its inception. I know this because my grandmother was best friends with their former Luna. Try again. Only please understand. The ticker's ticking, and the lies are piling up. Brennan said, Why are you here then? You came to kill me because of what you think you know? Your mind is made up. Nothing I say will make any difference. So do it. Just go ahead. Roman said, We are here to kill you, just not yet, unless you force our hand. Oh, you are most certainly going to die. The way of it depends on you. You either start talking, truthfully, or we start killing you, a little piece at a time. You see, by this time, your warriors are all rounded up. on the training field. Your pack is surrounded, and you have nowhere to run. I leaned forward and sharply said, "Sit down, Beta, or you die first." He immediately sat his as on the floor. I looked back at Brennan. "Tell me about the girl," like I said. The ticker's ticking. His voice shakes as he says, "What girl?" Roman laughed. "Oh, he's going to play stupid now, purrs." I grinned and told him he ain't playing Rome. Speaking into Brennan's face, I yelled, "Tell me about Paulina. Now you fuck." He jumped. "What about her?" I looked at my dad. "Oh my goddess, Dad." Dad stood up and slapped Brennan upside his head. "Even you are not that stupid. Reenie, wanna help?" Mom jumped up clapping her hands and said, "Oh goody, the fun part." And she looked at Brennan saying, "This will hurt you a lot more than it will me." And he started coughing, black smoke pouring from his nose and mouth. I sat watching tears roll down his face. He would gasp for air, only to inhale the smoke. Within minutes, he was nodding his head and Mom pulled back on the smoke. He choked and asked hoarsely, "What the fuck?" I shrugged. "You just met my mama." He grabbed his water and gulped it down. The kid was the only survivor of Mountain Trail. I brought her home, took her in. I raised her like one of my own, I snarled. "Lying gets you killed slowly, painfully. I will bring you to the brink of death. Have you healed? And nearly kill you in other painful ways. Can do that for years." He sneered. "Why do you even care? She is an orphan, a nobody. She doesn't matter." This time Paulina stood. Walking over to him, she punched him, right on his ear. "Oh, that shit hurts," she said. "You made me an orphan, a shoal. I am somebody. The days of torturing me ended over 2 years ago. Now tell my mates what they want to know, or even they won't stop me from killing you." She turned and climbed into my lap. I kissed the top of her head and asked, "Have you met our mate, the future queen?" "Yeah, this is her. So you're right. We don't need to hear about her from you. Her memories took care of that. We want to know where Jack Black is holed up. He's next." Brennan said, "I don't know. I had to get Paulina back. He paid me for her, and he's sent word he's coming for my pack if I don't hand her over. I offered to pay the money back, but he said he don't want it. He wants her. Something about some book he found at Mountain Trail. He thinks she's the moon goddess, and if he has her, he can control all the packs. He wants to be king." Dad groans. "Why in the fuck does everyone want to be king? It's a thankless job. Nobody wants to follow any rules. Everybody thinks they can do a better job. The paperwork? Dear goddess, the paperwork. Mountains of it. I only wanted to rule my hounds. You normals are flat out stupid. Can't be taught shit. You don't listen. Think you know everything." And Mom says, "Get out of your head, little fairy." We all cracked up. Paulina said, "For the record, a shoal. I am not the moon goddess. Mother Moon is the goddess, you twat waffle. Whatever y'all read in that book, you read it wrong." Brennan snarls, "I know you ain't no goddess. You ain't even got a wolf." And she released her alpha aura into the room, making Brennan and his beta choke with it. She grins. "That's my wolf," he stuttered out. "How? When?" I grinned and said, "Since she was 12, she's nearly as strong as a hellhound. Hence the reason she's our mate." He whined, "That's not possible. You didn't have a wolf. You're a null." Roman grinned and said, "Dad's right. Normals are stupid." I stood and said, "Well, let's go see the pack. I am sure they're thoroughly confused by now. This should be fun." Dad grabbed the beta and Roman took Brennan. We walked to the training field. The entire pack was huddled in the middle, surrounded by our hounds. I grinned. "Yep, confused as fuck. Hello, Orange River. If you don't know who we are." Allow me, my parents, the King Orion and Queen Renata, my brother Roman, I am Perseus, and this. Well, I am sure everyone recognizes her. What you don't know, however, is she is our mate. Roman said, Who of you here ever beat her, tortured her, bullied her? Oh fuck. Let's make this simple. Who of you never did any of those things? No one moved. No one said a word. I said, Every one of you is guilty. An entire pack brutalized and terrorized a little girl. That y'all made your mamas proud. I know the goddess isn't happy with you. She told us so. This is your opportunity to speak. Your alpha dies tonight. It's up in the air who goes with him.
Chapter 22, Normals Are Stupid. Paulina's POV.
I looked out over the pack of Orange River, and no one stepped forward. Not that I expected them to. I said, I realize none of you ever helped me. But the majority of you didn't go out of your way to hurt me either. I wish none of you harm, but I would like answers. Why you thought it was okay for Alpha Brennan to do what he did to me? What justification you gave yourselves to turn a blind eye? Even a toddler knows it's not okay to physically harm a child. Can any of you tell me why? A woman I recognized from the kitchen, who once gave me a bowl of oatmeal, spoke up, Luna Paulina, we were afraid. The morning I gave you food, I was taken to the cells and beaten every day for a week. I am ashamed to say I was too afraid to do it again. I nodded and told her, I thank you for putting yourself at risk for me. I would have been afraid as well. So, let's go with that. I would like to try something. I allowed my alpha aura release. That has increased since I had been marked and mated. The ones who were alpha commanded to abuse me. Step over to the right. The ones who did it just because it was fun, or the in thing to do, step to the left. We watched as the pack divided. Nearly all the warriors stepped right. About 20 women and girls my age stepped left. Damn. This pack is full of really awful people, Perseus said. Holy fuck. All you women beat a child. Just because you wanted to. Speaks to the type of disgusting person you are. I felt the tingling that always comes over me when Selene comes to visit. My hair started to buzz and my eyes burned. I closed them and let her come forth. Alpha Thomas Brennan, Beta Alan Gardner, you have been judged by the realm of the moon. Your wolves are as corrupted by greed and avarice as your human. It is my judgment you all four leave this world today. And she pulled their wolves to walk the dark side of the moon for eternity, while their human vessels fell to the earth dead. I stumbled and Roman caught me. I looked over the pack and everyone stood with mouths and eyes agape. Orion laughed. Now you know who you abused. You tried to destroy the goddess's vessel here on earth. Know that she knows what you have done. She's always known. My sons and daughter are leaving, but the queen and I will remain until the new alpha and beta arrive. They are of my choosing, and everything about this pack will be changed. Perseus released all his aura and demanded, None of you will speak of this day to anyone, not even to each other. You are lucky we do not do to you what this pack did to Mountain Trail. I slept nearly the whole way home. I was tired from barely sleeping the night before, and the goddess drains my energy. It's not as bad as the first time she did it, but I am still acclimating. At home, Brandon met us in the office. I have arranged with the contractors to repair and rebuild what was lost in the fires. The diner will be done within 2 weeks. There has been rogue activity to the west of here, terrorizing smaller packs and towns, mostly vandalism and property destruction, but it seems to be escalating. The techs think Black is Shanghaiing warriors by forcing them, taking entire families of lone wolves hostage. Perseus said, I want all lone wolves notified. Offer them protection of the pack, temporarily. I want those families protected. We don't need to be killing wolves who don't want to fight. I asked, do we know if it's only lone wolves, or are they abducting from packs as well? Once Black finds out Brennan is dead, I think he's going to increase his efforts to recruit more warriors, since he can't rely on Orange River's support anymore. Roman responded, the man is truly ignorant to believe he will ever be able to get near Paulina, much less be king. Brandon laughed. That's his ultimate goal, to be king? Talk about your lofty ambitions. What a dumbas. Roman remarked. Get us a list of the towns and packs that have experienced these raids. We need to know what aid we can offer, whether to rebuild, provide workers, or even monetary aid. We can have them fill out requisitions for whatever they need help with. Brandon told us, I will get the emails out today. Let them know we stand behind them and support them in whatever they need. It may be a good idea to send some warriors to run interference with the rogues. Roman nodded and told him to offer that as well. Perseus says, I just would really like to know what he's doing to convince these people it's possible to go against 1,000 hellhounds and prevail. I giggle and said, normals are stupid, making us all laugh a minute.
Chapter 23, I Needed That. Third-person POV.
Renata had told Roman and Perseus that Paulina needed to speak with them, so they were headed to the meadow. It is her favorite place to go when something is on her mind. The guys are concerned, but not worried. They can feel Paulina's happiness through their bond, so they know they aren't in trouble. When they reached the meadow, she was sat on a blanket in an adorable sundress, with her hair braided over her shoulder, her tiny bare feet curled underneath her. Joining her on the blanket, she smiled radiantly. I made lunch for us. We haven't had quiet time lately. I find I need to make myself be selfish. So I stole you away from your desks to enjoy a picnic with me. Perseus grinned. I am all for it. We miss quiet time with you too, my amour. How about we make a promise to each other right now? We set aside an afternoon every week for us time, and every other weekend we do date night. Even if it's just popcorn and movies, just time for us. Roman smiled. I am all for that. We take turns planning our dates. That way, we are always surprising each other. It will be fun and not seem like we're scheduling appointments for dinner. Paulina squealed and jumped at them each in turn, kissing them all over their faces. These men definitely knew how to make her happy after she had made them all plates of food, and they took turns feeding each other. She snuggled into them both. Lying on the blanket between them, she whispered, I wanted this time to be just us, because I wanted to talk to you about our family. What will our children call you? I mean, you both will be daddies, but won't you need to decide what they call you to avoid confusion? Perseus said, as long as they call me some form of father, I'm happy. Dad, daddy, pops, doesn't matter. Roman laughed and said, same. Paulina sat up and sat cross-legged between them. Well, you might want to work on that title. You have about 4 months to decide. The guys sat there a couple minutes before it registered what she had just told them. Roman leaped to his feet, danced around the meadow yelling, We're pregnant. We're going to be parents. Pers and I are daddies. She nodded her head, giggling. Perseus was grinning ear to ear. You have made me the happiest man on the planet. This is the greatest gift I have ever received. Besides you. He pulled her into him and kissed her deeply. He scooped her up and said, Come on, Rome. Let's go take a look at our little bundle of joy. Doc is waiting. And they all headed to the clinic. Renata and Orion were already waiting at the doors. She was so excited to see her grandbabies, she hadn't stopped talking. As soon as she saw Paulina, she asked, How did you tell them? Were they surprised? I can see they're happy. I can't wait. Can I have a picture? I want to start a collage wall. From their first picture to every milestone. First smile. First tooth. First crawl. Oh, steps. First steps. Paulina cracked up, and Roman said, "She's exhausting. Not a single breath in the midst of all that," making Paulina laugh harder. I love it. She just gets lost in her words. I mean, she literally walked away from us, letting all her thinking thoughts run out of her mouth. Doc called them all into an examination room, asking, "I want to take some blood before we get started. It will give me an accurate reading on a due date by the HCG levels in your bloodstream." Paulina held her arm out for Doc to extract blood. Roman and Perseus have had to be touching her since she's told them about the baby. Measuring themselves, this is really happening. Doc came back in about a half hour later. Setting up the ultrasound, she said, "By your hormone level, you should be close to 3 months. If the baby measures accurately, I can give you a due date." Paulina nodded and laid down. The guys covered her legs and panties, lifting her dress over her tummy as Doc got the wand ready, squirting some gel on her stomach and causing Paulina to jump at the chill. She started moving the wand. She started smiling and snapping pictures. She told them, "You are about 11 weeks. In about 3 months and 8 days, you will be due. But see here, that's a baby. And see here, that's another baby. Since you're carrying twins, you could go into labor early." Perseus smiles as Roman laughs. "Twins, like us." They both said it together, and Renata clapped her hands, squealing, "My boys, they synced. Remember when they were little, Orion? They would be happy or excited about something. Chatting perfectly in stereo. I missed that." Everyone laughed, and Roman and Perseus couldn't stop kizing Paulina and thanking her. Perseus linked Brandon to call the pack for an impromptu meeting. The 5 of them walked out to the backyard and stepped onto the stage. Perseus stepped forward with Roman and Paulina. He looked out over his people and said, "Dark Shadow, we are pleased to announce the Alpha heirs are on their way. We are pregnant. It's a day of celebration." As they turned to step down, one of Felicia's little groupies snarked, "It's a shame Roman isn't allowed a baby of his own, instead of sharing a kid." Roman snarled, "What part of heirs did you not understand, Belinda? These babies are equally mine and Perseus. We are identical twins, Dumbas. Even our DNA is identical. I answered you to put a stop to the nonsensical bullshit you spouted. As a courtesy, ever speak out of turn again, you will be disciplined." Roman pulled Paulina tightly into him and whispered, "I am so sorry." She smiled and said, "My sweet man, what have I told you about apologizing for idiots who never know when to keep their mouths shut? It doesn't bother me. I promise. I know you love me. And I certainly know where you park your boots every night. I love you." He laughed and said, "I needed that."
Chapter 24. Rolled her eyes. Perseus POV.
We have been searching for Jack Black diligently. For 2 weeks. Paulina has gotten clingy. Not that we're complaining. But Mom said it's normal. She's napping on the couch we had brought into the conference room. So she didn't have to lie down in a different room. It makes her anxious. Brandon and Aaron were showing aerial photographs of rural areas of Missouri. Aaron said, "We haven't seen any place that would indicate a pack. Very little movement can be detected. In all fairness, it's difficult to get an accurate visual from the drones. The tree canopy is thick as hell." I nodded. "Get trackers out there. I want the location of this prick. He is a threat to our Luna. That cannot be allowed. Our children need their mother as much as we need our mate. I will destroy anyone who is a danger to any of them." Paulina roused. Walking to me, she kized me and climbed into my lap. She whispered, I felt your stress. What is it? Word on black. I shook my head, smiling at her. No word on black. Which is why I'm anxious. He has to know Brennan is dead. So it only makes sense he is plotting and planning. We just don't know where he's doing that. She sits up. I imagine he's on the move. He knows I'm not coming to him. So if he wants me, he will have to come to us. I think we should stop trying to locate him and let him show up. We're wasting resources and time looking for him. We step up our patrols, extend the town protection, alert neighboring packs to the dangers Black poses, and have them send us a heads up if they're aware of any movement by large groups. Roman laughed. That actually makes sense. He will come. Of that there is no doubt. So we wait and keep a watchful eye. I grinned. Our mate makes a valid point. Beauty and brains, you, my love, are a double threat. She giggled. Double threat for double mates? Roman picks her up off my lap. I can live with that. She giggled again and told him like I would give you a choice. Mom and Dad came in. Mom said, "We have news. I will let Dad fill you in. I want some time with my daughter." She took Paulina's hand and sat on the couch. She opened her tablet and said, "We should take a look at baby furniture and nursery items. I want you to have exactly what you want for your pups." And they started shopping. I looked at Dad and said, "You have news, and we are struggling to find anything to point us in the right direction." I'm frustrated. Ridiculously so. Dad nodded. Alpha Miller, over at Orange River now, said a man showed up at his border gates last night, claiming to be an alpha. Although Miller said he lacked the aura, he asked after Brennan, but refused to leave his name. When Miller told him the goddess had removed Brennan from this realm, he said the man snarled, "That bitch figured it out," and ran back into the woods. Roman said it had to be Black, and his parting statement indicates he's known who Paulina is to the goddess all along. He's going to make his move soon. We will be ready. I looked over at Brandon and told him I want double patrols in town, and our borders are to be triple covered. I'm not worried about killing this prick, but I will be damned before he takes anyone else from us. Brandon nodded and left to reformat the patrol schedules. Aaron said, "I'm sending trackers to Orange River to try and pick up a trail. At least get an idea of direction." Paulina said, "He is headed here. I feel it. He really has no other choice at this point. If he knows I am the goddess's vessel, then he has to make his move. Unfortunately, his move leads to his own demise. And before you ask how I can feel him, I have no idea. But I believe it has to do with one, maybe both, of the twins. They can literally mind link me and communicate." Mom jumps up. "Oh, this is wonderful. Our new babies are gifted. Even more so than I could have imagined. They carry the blood of the goddess. They are elves and hellhound. I can't get over it. They are already communicating. They can detect negative aura and the location. Already. Do you have any idea how powerful they are?" I sat, concentrating on my pups. I reached out inside my soul, locating the tiny gold threads of their tethers. I pulled first one, then the other. In my link, I hear two tiny voices say, "Hey," and I laughed out loud. I told Roman, "We can communicate with them." I just pulled their tethers, and they responded simultaneously. He grinned, and we watched his eyes dim. Then he laughed. "They're feisty. I am loving this. How fucking awesome is this?" Paulina said, "No more cussing. One of my muffins just asked me what fucking means. And they ask that you do not yank their tethers." "Well, okay," I asked. "But when you did it, they both jumped. Both times, so Don't. Just don't. I laughed. I'm sorry, Angel. That was my fault. I wanted to identify their tethers before I attempted a link. Now I can just speak to them. I'm with Roman on this. How many parents can say they have reciprocated conversations with their unborn pups? It's flipping awesome. Roman laughed. Yep, I see many timeouts and out future. Our language is going to be an issue. However, I wouldn't be opposed to a spanking. Wiggling his eyebrows at Paulina, she laughed and rolled her eyes.
Chapter 25, Jerks, Paulina's POV.
Today, Mom is hosting a gender reveal baby shower, which seems a little cliche, but her excitement is contagious, and I'm really just happy to find out what we're having. I laughed as my men walked in the room. Perseus was wearing a blue shirt with a pink tie, and Roman had on a pink shirt and blue tie. I giggled, straightened Roman's tie, and whispered, I love a man secure in his masculinity, rockin' that pink shirt, love. Perseus whined, I'm wearing a pink tie, damn. What's a man gotta do for some recognition around here? I laughed again. Baby, every pore of your body oozes masculinity. I don't think you have any worries. We walked outside together and Mom yelled, the guests of honor have arrived. Come on, hurry. We are all excited. She led us to the stage. 2 boxes sat there. On the floor, she said, Purrs, Rome. Pull the strings and lift the boxes. As they did. Mom was literally bouncing and Dad tried to hold her still. The boxes lifted and each one held a blue bunny underneath. Boys, twin boys. Then I got tickled. Mom, did you, dye the bunnies? She shrugged. I thought it was a unique and cute idea. It's just food coloring. Even so, they weren't happy. Brody, on the left, has quite a nasty vocabulary. Called me a few choice names. And now he's saying he's going to drop poop pebbles in all my shoes. Naughty bunny, Brody. Perseus is cracking up, and I asked, You can hear him? He nods. Choking on his laughter, he's saying a lot more than Mom is telling. I'm just amazed at the threats he is coming up with. Hard to imagine a bunny with a bad temper, but that little guy is pissed. His brother Bert is not happy about being blue, but he's not irate at least. Not sure we could take them, Rome. I said, Wait, Bert Bunny, Brody Bunny, seriously? That's really their names? All 4 of them say, Alice has a sense of humor. I started to ask about Alice. But you know what? This feels like a never-mind moment. Perseus lifts me high in his arms and kaises my baby bump. He says, Our sons, setting me on my feet. Roman pulled me into a tight hug. I love you, my little mommy. Thank you. Perseus yells out, Our future alpha heirs are boys. They will be here in 6 weeks. As a family, we have decided to allow you to choose names. There is a box on the cake table, a pen and paper beside it. Please choose names that fit well together. We really don't want to name our boys anything like Mutt and Jeff. Everyone laughed, and we all went to grab food. I walked over to Mom, kissing her cheek. I told her, Thank you for making me a part of your family. I finally feel like I belong. She hugged me close and said, You are my daughter, sweet girl. I love you unconditionally. You have always belonged to me. I just didn't know where to find you. So you found me. I walked over to my mates, reveling in the fact that I have a family, someone who loves me, people who would miss me, look for me, protect me. I silently thanked my parents and the goddess. They knew I needed something good in my life. After the hell I had lived, they led me home. Perseus wiped a tear off my face that I hadn't realized fell. Baby, what's wrong? I shook my head, grinning. I'm happy, so happy. I am so in love with you guys. You have offered me exactly what I needed. Every single member of our pack brought some kind of gift for our boys. There were blankets, sleepers, diapers, handmade gifts, candles, bath soaps, even 2 beautiful matching dream catchers, warm crocheted sweater sets, matching beanies and booties. The generosity has me in tears again, leaving the guys to explain they are happy tears, with Roman trying to shove a pickle in my face with a spoonful of vanilla ice cream. He read a book about pregnancy, and in the cravings chapter explained strange cravings like pickles and ice cream. Like pickles and ice cream. Not an absolute, and definitely not a craving of mine. Pretzels and butterscotch pudding has my name all over it, however. Everyone had eaten, and I was helping Aunt Evelyn and Mom clean up a little bit. The guys were all enjoying a drink and quiet evening. The pack teens were dancing to music playing softly. Once the tables were clean to Mom's satisfaction, we walked over to sit with our men. We were talking and laughing when the alarm sounded. Dad said, "Abraham, Brian, stay with the Queen and the Luna. Get everyone else to the bunkers and safe rooms." Mom grabbed my hand, and we headed downstairs. I announced over our intercom for all non-combatants to get to their assigned safe rooms. Mom and I checked them in as they paced. Once I was satisfied everyone was accounted for, we locked ourselves in. Brian and Abraham stood on either side of the door as our first line of defense. I turned to go watch our monitors when I realized I was looking at our southeastern border. I heard Perseus Link, asked what's happening. I continued to watch a minute. Then I said, "I think the boys have Macy seeing through your eyes. Let's let this play out. I'm curious." He agreed, and I stood stock, still staring out at nothing. My subconscious had joined Ace. As he reached the border, I saw about 200 rogues. Perseus shifted, while Roman stayed in Bo's form. Perseus shouted, "State your business, rogues. You've chosen the wrong day to disrupt my pack." Our hounds edged ever closer to the border. A man stepped between 2 trees. Impossible to see with the setting sun behind him and the shade from the trees. He shouted back, "I am here for my property. I bought and paid for that bitch twice." Perseus responded, "Twice? And yet, she's still not with you. You believe the mate of the future kings is your property?" The man blustered, "She is my property, regardless of what she is now. She has been mine for almost 3 years." Perseus grinned and taunted, "Come try to take her then. We've been waiting for you. I'm betting we're better prepared." Right before he shifted into a smaller wolf, he said, "I am letting you know my intentions. I will return with my troops, and I will have my property." Perseus yelled, "Best bring some friends. Rogues won't be enough." I backed out from watching and said, "It's over for now. We can leave." Abraham and Brian both asked Dad before they believed me. Jerks.
Chapter 26. That's efficient. Perseus's POV.
I sent trackers after Black to find out where he's hiding and how many troops he has. Hopefully, we will know something by morning. Dad says, "Be prepared." Paulina told the pack the danger had paced and dismissed everyone. Brian and Abraham wouldn't let her out until they heard it from me. Roman responded, "Fuck. She's going to give us all an earful. And when she's mad, she uses all those big words. I never get to hear the actual argument because I'm too busy trying to remember the words so I can Google them later. Then I get in trouble for not listening. We are so screwed." I laughed and said, "We will just explain it was for her safety. I will use the what if the rogues double-backed and attacked us after she stopped watching." Dad laughed. "Oh, that's good. Guilt tripping her out of being angry at you and acting like you're angry at her. Nice. You have learned well, young Padawan." I shook my head and chuckled. No way would I ever manipulate her. Just things from a different perspective. can sometimes help us see past ourselves. You better hope Mom never finds out. We all laughed. We met up with Mom and Paulina, and she didn't seem mad at us at all, checking us both over for wounds. She said, "Oh, I gave Abraham and Brian hell, but then it dawned on me. They were only doing what I should have done, consulting their alpha. I was wrong for that, and I'm sorry." I am flabbergasted. Roman looks shocked. Not only did we not get yelled at, we got an apology. Mom busted out laughing and said, "You broke my son's daughter." They both laughed and went inside to fix something for dinner. Mom still loved to cook. We were enjoying dinner when word came in that our trackers had returned. I arranged the debriefing for an hour away. Hopefully, we have something to move on. Paulina pulled mine and Roman's hand to her stomach. She laid them flat and smiled. "They're dancing." I grinned and said, "They're playing soccer." She laughed and patted my hand. "Oh, right, can't dance. Play sports. Or boys." Roman and I cracked up. I knew it would get her going. She's just too fucking cute. She's going to be such a great mom. She jumps to defend their right to be themselves. And they aren't even here yet. We were seated in the conference room, waiting for Brandon to bring the trackers in. Tony, our lead tracker, will give the report, and I pray it's a little good news. As they got seated, Paulina smiled at Tony. "How's that pulled hamstring? Pain all gone?" He laughed and said, "It's nearly 100%. Just know I'm never sparring with a pregnant spider monkey again." I laughed. "Your Luna kicked your ass in training again?" He nodded and chucked, 10 out of 10. Do not recommend. He told us Black is set up in a deserted military compound. Difficult to get into. Not impossible. He has about 400 men gathered there. But he seems to be waiting, like he's expecting more any day. I growled. "I want eyes and ears on that compound 247. I want to know everything going on. Get a team up there with surveillance equipment. We should be able to pick up conversations. I want to be notified as soon as anyone else shows up. Find a way in, with the least amount of noise." Brandon said, "If there's cameras, I can hack them and control them. Disabling their security systems would be our best bet. But I can rig the cameras to play on a loop, long enough for us to get inside." Dad says, "I think we should go in, ASAP, instead of waiting for any more rogues to join him." Mom said, "I'm going this time. Paulina is too close to her due date, but I am fighting." I looked at Paulina and she smiled. "I'm not stupid, babe. I'm too far along to try to fight. I'm fine missing this fight." I pulled her into my lap and nuzzled her neck. "I tell everyone we go tonight, midnight. Brandon, take out the cameras. We are finishing this. This threat now looms over our entire family. The babies have to be born into a world that is safer than it is today. Tony, get your team up there now. I want no surprises when we get there. We hit them, and we hit them hard. Anyone who fights us dies. I want Black. I want to make sure he's alone in this bullshit. Brian will stay with Paulina. I am not comfortable leaving her home. And I link Roman, should we just bring Paulina with us? I'm not comfortable leaving her home. What if Black is expecting us to do exactly that, and he has a backup contingency to take her?" He sat quietly a moment. Then he said, "My love, I would rather you come with us tonight. Stay with Doc on the triage bus. I would just feel better if you were with us." She smiled and said, "I was planning on it anyway. I never said I was staying home. I said I wouldn't fight. I will hang back with Doc, but I will be geared up. I don't trust anything about this guy. His agenda involves more than just me. We know he wants to be king. You too. And Dad will be his targets. I just think he wants me now to use against you both. Dad said, "Very astute, daughter. That makes sense," in a twisted delusions of grandeur type of way, which is probably a good indicator the man is batshit crazy. I looked at Paulina and told her, "I know watching through my eyes will be a temptation, but I am asking you to remain focused on your surroundings. If some escape and head your way, we need you ready." She nodded and laughed. "Again, love, not stupid. I will watch, both, through your eyes and what's happening around me. I won't endanger our sons, I promise." I pulled her into me. "I am not doubting your abilities, baby. Please don't think that. I'm just concerned where your safety is my #1 priority." She nuzzled into my neck, and we went back to planning. Roman had a plan to cause enough of a distraction to get Black's attention. He's our primary target, so neutralizing him will end the fight fairly quickly. Dad said, "We have to get to Black as fast as possible. Hopefully the trackers will have eyes on him, and we can get to him fairly quickly. If not, we simply kill everyone in our way." Paulina giggled. "That's efficient."
Chapter 27. He Scares Me. Paulina's POV.
We had sent hounds out ahead of us. We wanted them surrounding the perimeter of the compound. Doc and the medics were all in the medevac units. We brought the triage bus, and I rode with Perseus and Roman. Brandon and I sat in the back. 20 miles from the compound, Perseus pulled alongside the triage bus. They both got out and helped me down. Perseus said, "We are leaving 50 warriors here, with Abraham and Brandon. They are here to protect you. Allow them to do what they do best, okay?" I nodded, with no intention of arguing. "I will listen. For the babies. And so my men can fight clear-headed and safe in the knowledge I am protected." I kissed them both and hugged Mom and Dad. I whispered, "You all better come back to me. I won't lose anyone else. Be as safe as you can be, but come back." I saw them off, then went inside the bus. Doc said, "They'll be okay. Hellhounds are nearly indestructible," which makes this Alpha Black even dumber. It doesn't make sense. I watched through Ace's eyes as they raced toward the compound. The trackers have cut a large hole in the fence, and our guys were rushing through it, 5 at a time. I pulled back and watched carefully around us, listening for any out-of-the-ordinary sounds. Abraham whispered, "All's quiet, Polly. We won't hear much of anything for a little while." I nodded and said, "They have entered the compound, and Roman is setting up his diversion. There has been a couple little skirmishes with the perimeter guards. Perseus and Dad took them down, easily enough." I kept bouncing between watching my mates and listening to my surroundings. Brandon said, "If you listen carefully, sounds of battle can be heard." Just as that left his mouth, we heard and felt an explosion. Abraham chuckled. That was Roman's fucking diversion. Blow their entire munitions dump? Damn, that boy's crazy. I faded into Perseus' eyes and saw him ripping the throat out of a rogue. Then I glanced to see Roman still in human form, snapping a neck. Macy and Ismo were tag-teaming 4 rogues at once. Pulling back, I told Abraham, "They're fighting rogues, but I haven't seen any sign of Black. Perseus is working his way to the building." Brandon said, "The sounds are dying down over there. Perseus just linked they are heading back this way. Luna, I need you inside the bus now." I stepped inside and Abraham followed. He said, "Black wasn't inside the compound. They think he might be hiding out close by. So, we're going to sit in here for now, while the warriors keep an eye out." Perseus linked me that they think Black is heading our way. I stood and grabbed my saber and tucked my daggers into my boots. I yanked the ladder down. grabbing my bow and arrows. I climbed through the hatch in the roof of the bus. I dropped to my knees, knocking an arrow. I turned in a 360-degree swivel. Sounds of battle could be heard around the bus. Something hit the side of the bus. Rocking it hard enough, I nearly lost my balance. Looking over the edge, I saw 2 wolves backing up to charge at the bus again. I dropped one with an arrow between his eyes, and Abraham landed on the back of the other one, snapping his spine. He jumped up and waded into the mass of rogues, and I kept firing off arrows every time I had a clear shot. I heard a voice yell, "Get that bitch off that bus," and 2 men leaped on top of the bus. I drew my saber and squared off. I spun and swung my saber above my head and slashed downward, cutting through the entire right side of the rogue. I turned to the second, just as Roman landed on top of the bus behind him. He ripped his head off and grabbed me, jumping off the bus. We landed on the ground, and he pushed me inside. It happened so fast, it was like one fluid motion. Doc slapped a blood pressure cuff on my arm and listened to my stomach. The babies seemed fine. They were moving around and soothing my nerves, whispering to me. The sounds of fighting were dying down, and casualties were finding their ways to the bus. Close to 20 of our people were injured, but we lost no one. Perseus walked onto the bus, his eyes frantically searching for me. I moved to him, and he pulled me close. "We have Jack Black in custody. He had taken a couple hundred men and was hiding in a copse of trees east of here. I knew he would head here as soon as I realized he wasn't in the compound." Mom came in and started healing where I had left off. Roman hugged me. "I was so scared. I was running to get to you after Black yelled to get you off the bus. I saw the 2 jump on the bus. Even saw you take the first one out. My fear was you falling." I held on to him and said, "You stopped that from happening. You made it in time, baby. We are all fine. I love you both," he kissed me. Then Perseus did. Dad had us all come outside. He asked, "Are we transporting Black back to the pack? I'd like to get that taken care of." Mom smiled and said, "Send him to Dark Shadow with Abraham as his guard. Maybe an hour with the King of Torture will encourage Black to tell us what he knows." Roman laughs. "He's going to shit just britches. Uncle Abraham is scary. He scares me."
Epilogue. Kill him.
By the time they had arrived back at Dark Shadow, Paulina was having contractions, and Perseus and Roman were beside themselves. Once they were all set up in the maternity ward, the room was filled with a calming aura, and Paulina's pain level dropped. The babies were healing her as they moved into position. Doc came in and examined her, saying she was already completely effaced and dilated to a 9. Time to push was rapidly approaching. Doc broke her water and told the alphas to get ready. Paulina said, "Oh, sure, guys. By all means, y'all get ready. Want you both prepared to watch me struggle to push 2 linebackers out my hoo-ha?" Roman said, "I think she's being sarcastic," and Perseus asked, "You think?" Mom laughed and said, "I can relate. I will take some of the pain from her. Just you two. Be supportive. One of you climb behind her, while the other helps her hold her legs. Pushing requires every muscle in her body. She will need encouragement." Several hours later, Jaden and Caden were brought into the world, 22 inches long, a little over 7 pounds each. The first 2 hours after they arrived were spent with them screaming out their displeasure. Once they had calmed down and were sleeping with warm clothes and full bellies, their parents were able to truly appreciate their babies. Dark hair, identical in every way but one. Jaden had green eyes with blue undertones, while Caden had blue eyes with green undertones after that first night. The three parents realized they would all be sleeping in shifts a few weeks, until the boys fell into their routines. Renata and Orion spent as much time with the boys as possible. She had complete conversations with them, and they responded to her fairy side, learning all about their talents. The boys were 2 weeks old when the interrogation of Jack Black was held. He was brought to an interrogation cell and faced all the Demeter family. His focus remained on Paulina. He wouldn't respond to any of the questions asked unless Paulina repeated them. Finally, she snapped. "I suggest you start cooperating. I am inches from snapping your fucking neck. This is a power play, and I am done. I am rapidly reaching a point that I couldn't give a shit if you have information or not. I would just as soon kill you and research on my own." Perseus bit his lip to keep from laughing. Renata suggested, "Maybe he needs to choke a while. Think about priorities, a little incentive, encouragement. Call it whatever you want. But hopefully, he will start telling us something, because he's about to be drowning on his own saliva." They all looked at Black, and he was turning blue, gasping, trying to get air into his rapidly filling lungs. He signaled he was ready to talk. Renata pulled back and relaxed into her chair with a grin. He coughed, cleared his throat. "My alpha, Edward Wilda of Ranger Grove Pack, was in negotiations with Red Lake for a chosen bride, a Desiree Harris. Before the deal was sealed, she met her true mate at Mountain Trail. My alpha was so angry, he sent my father and several warriors to abduct her. They failed. Alpha Wilda was even more pissed and banished my father and our whole family. Word is, his son is now looking for a chosen. You are the best candidate. My plan was to hand you over to Ranger Grove and remove the blight from my family name. Attacking Mountain Trail was my revenge for what your parents did to mine." Paulina snapped, "You fucking moron. Your alpha is the one who sent your father on a fool's errand. My parents, at least, allowed your father to survive an unprovoked attack against a pack that size. Your alpha banished your family, and your twisted brain convinced you the Wildas would welcome you back with open arms. Dear goddess, are all criminals idiots?" Roman started laughing. "Baby, the majority of criminals are definitely not rocket scientists." Perseus chimes in, "I can see it. Mensa for maniacs." Everyone laughed and Paulina stood to leave. "I have wasted enough of my life on this waste of space. My sons are calling me to come play." "Coming, Mom?" As Renata followed her out the door, Orion yelled, "What do we do with this idiot?" Both women shouted, "Kill him."
The end.